Business is here with us, and they are supposed to make their way into the chamber this afternoon to necessitate the proper curation of the House to commence business. Before I handed you over, I was informing you of the Public Audit Amendment Bill and other motions, as well as other agenda for consideration by the Senate this afternoon. The Public Audit Amendment Bill is an act of Parliament that is seeking to amend a Public Audit Act of the year 2025 to provide for a number of factors. Among them is the development and maintenance of a code of ethics issued by the international organizations of supreme audit institutions, and this is in accordance with the Code of Conduct as envisaged in the Public Officer Ethics Act of the year 2003 and guided by the international best practice. A report by the Standing Committee on Matters Health following its investigations into health activities of about 3 counties is also coming up for debate this afternoon. But away from that, the Senate will be considering a motion by Senator Veronica Maina. The motion pertains to the declaration of road traffic accidents in Kenya as a national disaster. And in this motion, Senator Veronica Maina states that she is aware that Article 43 of the Constitution guarantees the right to the highest attainable standards of health, including emergency medical treatment, and that Article 21, subsection 1 of the Constitution obligates the state and all state organs to observe, respect, promote, protect, as well as fulfill the rights and fundamental freedoms as contained in the Bill of Rights. The Senator is concerned that despite the existence of the National Road Safety Action Plan of the year 2024 all the way to the year 2028, it is a 5-year plan, and other statutory measures, road carnage persists due to preliminary causes including overspeeding, impaired and distracted driving, non-compliance with traffic laws, inadequate driver training, unsafe road infrastructure, and roadworthy and overloaded vehicles, as well as systematic challenges that are arising from inadequate investment in the road safety infrastructure. The quorum has been attained. Allow me to hand over back to the proceedings in the
Clerk, you may call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Senator Fernandi, take your seat. Honorable Senators, would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of 9 young men and women who are in the Senate undertaking an internship program. The objective of the program is to provide young people with first-hand experience in the legislative process and to expose them to the intricate world of public policy and public service. They have been assigned to understudy our staff in various directorates of the Senate. I request each of the interns to stand when called out so that they can be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. Mr. Matthias Justus Musau, Ms. Shanice Akala, Ms. Inviolata Nafula, Mr. Hilary Kibet Maruga, Mr. Abakri Ibrahim Ekawum, Ms. Baraza Brilliant Salome, Ms. Fiona Shakpwala, Ms. Teresa Anyango Wesonga, and Ms. Lina Awor Kennedy. Now, honorable senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming guests to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to you, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, I wish you a fruitful learning program here at the Senate. I will call upon the Deputy Minority Leader and 1 minute to extend a word of welcome, to welcome the delegation.
I thank you, the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to join you and through you extend a word of welcome to the visiting delegation consisting of young people from across the country who are here on an internship program. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to encourage the young ones to take full advantage of their access to the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, to learn as much as they can in their different fields. Mr. Speaker, this is a very crucial time for them. At some point, Mr. Speaker, when I was younger, I got an opportunity to be attached to the United Nations Environment Program offices in Nairobi and attached to one of the senior directors from Zimbabwe. And I learned a lot and got very, very serious, invaluable experience from interactions with the management of UNEP. So I want to urge the young ones to take this internship very, very seriously. It will actually shape their future. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, or any member of the committee. JLAC. We'll defer that order. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
We'll defer the notice by JLAC and proceed to Senator Andrew Omtata to give notice. We'll also defer that order. Next order, Clerk.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Now, statement pursuant to Standing Order 53-1, the Honorable Senator for Nakuru County, Senator Tabitha Keroche. That will be deferred pursuant to the Honorable Senator's own requests. Next order. Senator for Nairobi City County, you may proceed with your statement. I know what I've approved.
Honorable Speaker, please do not allow your office to be policed by people who are not members of the Speaker's office. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of national concern, namely the roles, welfare, working conditions and functionality of deputy governors across the country. Mr. Speaker, the Office of Deputy Governor is established under Article 179(5) of the Constitution of Kenya, which provides that each county.
Honorable Senator Lelegwe, you are out of order. You cannot walk across from the aisle. You go to the bow, and then you can cross to the other side. Kindly.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Office of Deputy Governor is established under Article 179(5) of the Constitution of Kenya, which provides that each county shall have a county executive committee comprising the governor and deputy governor, as well as members appointed by the governor with the approval of the county assembly from among persons who are not members of the assembly. This constitutional architecture is intended to ensure continuity of executive authority in the county, including enabling the deputy governor to assume the roles, functions, and powers of the governor as may be required. However, Mr. Speaker, this constitutional office has increasingly been rendered ineffective by some governors. Holders of the office have consistently reported denial of official vehicles, arbitrary closures of their offices, withholding of budgetary allocations to facilitate the office, and a blatant disregard of the spirit of the Constitution in the administration of devolved units. The offices of governor and deputy governor are meant to complement each other while providing stability and continuity for the county. Instead, many deputy governors now operate merely at the mercy of governors, reduced to peripheral roles, deployed on a whim and shut out from access depending on gubernatorial moods. Mr. Speaker, sir, this Senate has previously attempted to remedy this situation through the County Government Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 52 of 2024, whose object was to amend the County Governments Act to provide for specific functions for the office of the Deputy Governor. We are yet to prioritize this bill and accelerate its passage into law so as
Senator
to give...
Senator Fakelefe, a seasoned member of this House, you know you cannot come in between the chair and the senator speaking. Proceed, Senator for Nairobi City.
As I was saying, Mr. Speaker, we are yet as a House to prioritize this bill and accelerate its passage into law so as to give clarity, protection, and proper legitimacy to this office. Without clear statutory backing, we cannot entrench the office and move it from being a face of humiliation, dehumanization, and neglect, an outcome that reflects a glaring failure of our systems. Focused action on this matter would help bring to an end the current administrative ambiguity and strengthen executive coordination within county governments. Mr. Speaker, even as we await action on that law, it is imperative that we as a Senate, in exercising our oversight mandate pursuant to Article 96 of the Constitution, launches an inquiry into the welfare and working conditions of all deputy governors. This is made even more critical by the possibility that many holders of the office may be suffering in silence, a situation that sustains the negation of devolution and the shrinking of the democratic gains made in the country's long journey of constitutionalism. The practice of rendering the office of deputy governor non-functional should be treated as deliberate and not accidental. It amounts to impunity, particularly when one considers that deputy governors are ordinarily running mates of governors at election time, yet many relationships deteriorate soon after the elections, with adverse consequences for service delivery and stability in the counties. This power play is dangerous and must be addressed. Mr. Speaker, it is unfortunate that 16 years since the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, we still grapple with such critical issues of devolution as the functionality of the office of the Deputy Governor. Additionally, the abuse of power by some governors in their relationships with their deputies is testament to the fact that a new constitution does not by itself eradicate old regressive habits and attitudes. For this reason, I urge the Senate to stand firm as the institution of last resort in safeguarding devolution, serving as vigilant watchdogs of the Constitution where other institutions have faltered. The plight of deputy governors may be one of the many constraints to effective devolution, but while it is before us, we have no option but to resolve it in a manner that assures citizens that this House remains true to the ideals of the Constitution. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have two statements. Can I read both of them?
You may proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, this is addressing the drainage failures, flooding, and urban planning in Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transport, and Housing on a matter of county-wide concern regarding the urgent measures to address the recurrent flooding, drainage failures, and poor urban planning in Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, sir, recent flooding incidents have once again highlighted the inadequacy of Nairobi's stormwater systems and the encroachment on riparian reserves and weak development control, which continue to expose residents business, and critical infrastructure to avoidable risk during heavy rains. On Friday, 6 March 2026, heavy rainfall caused widespread flooding across Nairobi City County, leading to road closures, property damage, displacement, and distress among residents. Emergency reports confirmed severe impact in areas as Embakasi Pipeline, Mukuru Kibra, Mathare, Huruma, South B and C, Langata, Umoja, Njiru, Utawala, Roysambu, Githurai, Loresho, and parts of Westlands. Major roads including sections of the Central Business District, Uhuru Highway, Mbagathi Way, Mombasa Road, Thika Superhighway, Jogoo Road, Lungalunga Road, Enterprise Road, and Langata Road were also rendered impassable. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a capital city and a hub of commerce, transport, and governance, Nairobi requires resilient infrastructure that safeguards lives, ensures mobility, and sustains economic activity during adverse weather events. In the statement, the committee should address the following. Number one, the immediate actions currently being undertaken by Nairobi City County government and relevant national agencies to manage flooding, including rescue operations, drainage clearance, reopening of the roads, and protection of residents and property. Number two, the identified chronic flooding locations, drainage corridors, and affected road sections with details of planned interventions and clear timelines of implementation. Number three, status of any audit conducted on Nairobi's stormwater drainage system, its findings on adequacy and carrying capacity, and corrective measures being implemented. Number four, measures to remove illegal developments on riparian reserves, waterways, road reserves, and drainage corridors, as well as strategies to prevent continued encroachment. Number five, the planning, zoning, and development control measures being enforced to ensure future infrastructure projects incorporate adequate drainage, flood mitigation, and climate resilient systems. Finally, the interagency coordination framework for responding to rainfall advisories and mitigation, flood risks, and long-term policy, legislative and budgetary measures to deliver and to integrate drainage rehabilitation and climate resilient urban planning framework, befitting Nairobi's status as a capital city. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll go to the next one. On rising burden of uterine fibroids among women in Kenya. Arise, Mr. Speaker, sir, arise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health on a matter of a nationwide concern regarding the rising burden of fibroids among women in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, uterine fibroids, which are non-cancerous growths of the uterus, are increasingly becoming a major public health concern in Kenya, with devastating effects on women's health, fertility, and economic productivity, affecting the estimated 10 to 20% of Kenyan women, particularly those aged 35 to 39 years. Fibroids cause heavy bleeding, severe pelvic pain, anemia, and infertility, while treatment costs ranging from Kenya shillings 100,000 and Kenya shillings 500,000 remain unaffordable for many without comprehensive insurance coverage. In the statement, the committee should address the following. Excuse me. Number one, the national prevalence and distribution of uterine fibroids, providing update data on age groups, county level burden, and trends among Kenya women. Number two, measures in place to enhance public awareness and early screening, outlining Ministry of Health initiatives to promote timely diagnosis and reduce complications. Number three, the steps being taken to fund research and improve treatment options, including efforts to understand causes, prevention, and access to minimally invasive therapies. Number four, the affordability and accessibility of treatment under the Social Health Insurance Fund, SHIF, clarify coverage of fibroid diagnosis and treatment, and plans to make care more affordable. Finally, the policy interventions to strengthen reproductive health service in public facilities, ensuring comprehensive, equitable, and sustainable support for women's health nationwide. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mohammed Chute. Senator Mohammed Chute, you may proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm requesting for a statement on the legality of development activities in Moyam Badarero area. This is a grazing area in Marsabit County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek for a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources on a matter of county-wide concern regarding the legality of development activities in Moyam, which is a Badarero area within Marsabit County, particularly drilling works associated with boreholes and community land rights in the affected dry season grazing area. Mr. Speaker, sir, Moyam is a strategic dry season fallback grazing area that supports pastoralist livelihood and resilience during prolonged drought. Any unauthorized development around critical water points, therefore, carries significant implication for community stability and sustainable resource use. Reports of borehole drilling and related works by the neighboring county of Wajir, my friend there, have raised concerns about possible encroachment and forced occupation of traditionally utilized grazing areas, leading to heightened tension in the area. Honorable Speaker, in the statement, the committee should look at two things. Number one, whether approvals and consent were obtained for the borehole drilling and any related developments in Moyam, which is Badarero, and measures being taken to ensure the immediate cessation of any unauthorized activities. Two, how the county government of Marsabit, working with the National Land Commission and relevant agencies, will accelerate community land registration in line with the Community Land Act of 2016. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Senator for Bungoma County, the Honorable Wakole.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Request for a statement on the current status of the medical insurance scheme for Bungoma County Government Executive Workers. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on a matter of a county-wide concern regarding the current status of the medical insurance scheme for Bungoma County Government Executive Workers. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1. The name of the current underwriter and provide details of any insurance brokerage firms involved in facilitating or managing the medical scheme. 2. The scope of benefits under the policy, including inpatient, outpatient, maternity, dental, optical, last expense, chronic illness cover, and any other additional benefits, as well as the cover limits per family and per beneficiary. 3. The official number of staff members enrolled as principal members together with their beneficiaries covered under the scheme. 4. The total annual premium payable for the policy, including breakdown per employee if applicable, the source of funding endorsements, and provide a summary of the current policy framework highlighting the applicable terms, conditions, and exclusions. 5. The list of medical providers on the panel, including hospitals, clinics, and pharmacies authorized to offer services under the cover. Senator David Wakoli, CBS MP. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Request for a statement on the status of issuance of national identity cards in the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on a matter of national concern regarding the status of issuance of national identity cards in the country. Mr. Speaker, sir, there has been growing public concern in several counties over the delayed issuance of national identity cards to persons who have attained the requisite age of 18 years. The affected persons are greatly impacted as they are unable to access certain essential government services, employment opportunities, and financial services, or to exercise their political rights. To exercise their political rights, Mr. Speaker. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, per county data on the issuance of national identity cards from 2024 to date, disaggregated by gender, including statistics on the applications that are currently under processing. 2, the factors contributing to any observed disparities in the issuance of national identity cards across counties. 3, the policy, administrative and operational measures being undertaken to address the disparities and to ensure equitable, timely, and non-discriminatory issuance of national identity cards in all parts of the country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Daniel Manzo, Senator Makueni.
Senator Maruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labour and Social Welfare on a matter of a county-wide concern regarding non-payment of Taita Taveta County Ward Bursary Committee members' allowances. Mr. Speaker, sir, the members of the Ward Bursary Committee in Taita Taveta County have not received their allowances from the financial year 2022-2023 to the current financial year 2025-2026, despite their critical role in administering bursary allocations to needy students across the wards. This prolonged non-payment undermines the morale and effectiveness of the committees. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, the reasons behind the non-payment of allowances to ward bursary committee members from financial year 2022-2023 to 2025-2026. 2, whether allowances for the committee members were included in the successive county budgets for the stated financial years. 3, the list of all committee members per ward, including their names, phone numbers, national identification numbers, and copies of their letters of appointment. 4, the timeline within which the ward bursary committee members will be paid all outstanding allowances from inception to date. 5, a report on the non-payment of allowances specifying any action to be taken against officers found culpable for the failure to effect payment. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Majaya.
Asante Mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, ombi langu ni ombi la kauli kuhusu ripoti ya unyanyasaji na vitisho dhidi ya waumini wa Kiislamu wanapohudhuria swala za tarawih. Mstahiki Spika, nasimama kwa mujibu wa kauli za kudumu ya nambari 53 kipengele cha kwanza za Seneti kuomba kauli kutoka kwa kamati ya bunge ya ulinzi, ujasusi na mambo ya nje kuhusu ripoti ya unyanyasaji na vitisho kutoka kwa polisi dhidi ya waumini wa Kiislamu katika maeneo mengi yaliyo pwani wakati wa mwezi huu mtukufu wa Ramadhan, hususan wanapohudhuria swala za tarawih. Mstahiki Spika, Waislamu huadhimisha mwezi huu mtukufu wa Ramadhan kwa kufunga, kwa ibada na matendo ya hisani. Mojawapo ya ibada muhimu katika kipindi hiki cha swala ya tarawih inayoswaliwa msikitini wakati wa usiku. Ni jambo la kusikitisha kwamba kumekuwa na malalamishi na vitisho vya unyanyasaji kutoka kwa polisi dhidi ya waumini wa Kiislamu wanaposafiri kwenda na kurudi misikitini wakati wa swala hili za usiku za tarawih. Mstahiki Spika, uhuru wa kuabudu ni haki ya msingi inayolindwa chini ya kifungu cha 32 cha katiba ya Kenya. Kila Mkenya anapaswa kuwa na uhuru wa kutekeleza dini yake kwa amani bila hofu ya kunyanyaswa, kutishwa au kubaguliwa. Na Mstahiki Spika, asante sana pia kuhangaishwa. Katika kauli hiyo, kamati inapaswa kujibu maswala yafuatayo. Ya kwanza ni hatua ambayo wizara imeweka kuhakikisha kwamba operesheni za usalama zinazofanyika usiku wakati wa Ramadhan haziingilii haki ya waumini wa Kiislamu kuhudhuria swala za tarawih. Pili, iwapo uchunguzi wowote umefanywa kuhusiana na madai ya utovu wa nidhamu au unyanyasaji unaotekelezwa na maafisa wa usalama dhidi ya waabudu wakati wa kipindi hiki cha Ramadhan. Tatu, hatua ambazo serikali imechukua kuimarisha ushirikiano kati ya vyombo vya usalama, viongozi wa dini na viongozi wa jamii katika eneo la pwani ili kuhakikisha Ramadhan inaadhimishwa kwa amani. Na mwisho, hatua zipi zinazotekelezwa kuhakikisha usalama na ulinzi wa waabudu wanaohudhuria swala za usiku misikitini katika kaunti zote za pwani. Asante Bwana Spika.
Now, honorable senators, I will allow comments for not more than 15 minutes. So if you get an opportunity to speak, kindly do so for not more than 3 minutes. Senator Wahome Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want also to add my voice to the Speaker, to the statement raised by the Senator for Nairobi. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's the high time that we get to define the roles of constitutional offices so that we reduce the infighting. Mr. Speaker, in many county governments, governors rarely have anything to do. They are just at the mercy of the governor. And we know that they are learned people, they can be very resourceful, but we need, Mr. Speaker, to define what their roles are as principal assistants to the governors so that, Mr. Speaker, we do not we keep on wasting a lot of resources. Mr. Speaker, I also want to add my voice to the other statements, Mr. Speaker, because indeed it is important that when we sit down here, we define some of the roles of the people so that when they get into the office, we know how we can be able to allocate their duties, their resources, and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that the work that they've been elected to do is being done without being at the mercy of the governors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to comment on Senator Chuto's statement. Mr. Speaker, the Committee of National Cohesion, where I am a member and chaired by Senator Chute, recently visited northern Kenya, particularly Marsabit County, and visited to sort out quite a number of issues affecting people in the northern Kenya. We also went to Turkana County, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you find that the Community Land Act by now should have been implemented, and it was meant to prevent disputes and ownership of land communally owned as it is in northern, eastern, and northern Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you realize that, and I like what the Honorable Oburu said today at a talk show I followed keenly, that northern Kenya is very useful to this country and many dry parts of this country, Mr. Speaker. If we did dams there, just like in case of Ukambani, Twake Dam, you'll be able to conduct irrigation.
Order, Majority Leader. Honestly, you
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
cannot converge right at the table.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if we invested in the water sources there, the rearing of animals, Mr. Speaker, the country will perform much better in terms of the huge markets and requirements of meat in the Middle East. And the meat from northern Kenya has gone through the halal process, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, when you go there, you find very healthy animals. But soon they begin finding a way for lack of water, boreholes, and also when these boreholes are done, Mr. Speaker, communities fight over them, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the people of Moyam and any other person visiting from that area, they should seek the necessary permission or through the counties so that, Mr. Speaker, we don't have quarrels there over resources. But most important, Mr. Speaker, is to invest. The government to invest in northern Kenya, in eastern Kenya, in water and irrigation so that the agriculture farming of crops and animals, Mr. Speaker, can be useful to the country. But it goes very wrong when we just make it a talk show. We don't implement the equalization fund, Mr. Speaker. These problems, Mr. Chute, Honorable Chute, Senator for Marsabit is talking about will be there for a long time. Mr. Speaker, we need to implement the programs so that Kenyans can live in harmony and that we can develop our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Alexander Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi niweze kuchangia statement ya Senator Aminda kuhusu mambo ya Nairobi. Nairobi sisi wote tuko city tunafaa iangaliwe njia ile inafaa. Bwana Spika, ni kitu ya kuhuzunisha sana kwa sababu tunakumbuka wiki jana wakati mvua ilinyesha, watu walivagiwa na maji, magari ikaenda, biashara zikaharibika, ikashoroteka. Ningeomba kamati ya barabara iweze kuangalia na makini kwa sababu mara mingi tumekuwa tukipatia magavana pesa na Nairobi ni city, ingefaa gavana wa Nairobi afanye kazi kulingana vile inafaa ndio mambo kama hii isifanyike tena. Ninakumbuka Bwana Spika, mwaka mmoja iliyopita huyu gavana mwenyewe ndiye alisukua takataka na akaenda akafunga njia ya Kenya Power. Kwa hiyo ningeomba Bwana Spika iweze kuangaliwa huyu gavana anafanya kazi namna gani. Na pia iweze kuangaliwa hata sisi senators tunafaa tuwe oversight tunafanya vizuri. Na Bwana Spika, tumeona wengine wakisimama mbele ya magavana wengine, Bwana Spika, maseneta wakienda kusema vile kazi haifanyiki. Kwa hivyo naomba iweze kuangaliwa ndio hata senator wa Nairobi ambaye anaenda kila kona akisema mambo ya tamu moja aweze kuangalia mambo ya oversight vile kazi Nairobi inafaa ifanywe. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, naunga hiyo statement mkono iweze kuangaliwa kazi itafanywa namna gani. Kwa sababu tukiendelea hivyo mambo ya kipindupindu, mambo ya malaria itaonekana katika city yetu. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, naunga mkono. Asante.
Senator for Nairobi City County, Honorable Sifuna.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, as part of the leadership in Nairobi, I was deeply embarrassed by what we saw in the city on Friday. Somehow, Mr. Speaker, when I take the mic, the volume just plummets. I don't know what is going on. But the point that I was making is that we were deeply embarrassed.
So
as
what are you trying to suggest, Senator for Nairobi?
I'm trying to suggest that there is internal sabotage whenever some of us take to the floor, because we have also things to say. We might not shout in your ear like the previous speaker, but we want to be heard. Honorable Speaker, as a leadership in the city, we were deeply embarrassed by what happened in Nairobi on Friday. We have lost over 25 people in Nairobi alone. There is more than 4,000 families that have been affected by the flooding. And Honorable Speaker, what we want to say is our deepest condolences to all of those who have lost their loved ones. Our pole to the people who were affected in one way or by the floods. I know there are members here who were stuck on the road. Many Kenyans were stuck on the road overnight. Honorable Speaker, it was deeply, deeply embarrassing. And I said that as part of that leadership, you will hear no excuses from me. Honorable Speaker, it is quite surprising that a member of this House can forget that we have limited roles as senators. And this House knows the work that all of us have done in terms of oversighting of governance. And therefore, if the expectation from anyone in this House is that Senator for Nairobi is responsible for opening drainages, I think it is the height of hypocrisy, Honorable Speaker. Even in our political differences, you should not swing low blows, Honorable Speaker. I have heard various stories, including now we are being told that the city floods because it is built on a swamp. I think we all know, and we have known for all these years, of the problems around the drainage in Nairobi. And we can no longer give stories to the public, Honorable Speaker. We want at this particular moment in time to ensure, Honorable Speaker, that there is a comprehensive review of how this entire city drains so that these things don't happen again. I heard somebody say that the rains are things that we expect. It cannot be a surprise. And we know that it will rain again, including this week. But there are simple measures that can be put in place as we await a comprehensive review of how the city drains to ensure that these things don't happen again. Honorable Speaker, the last time we had flooding of a similar nature, they blamed settlements along the Nairobi rivers. And they kicked out many of our people from those settlements. And we thought that was the solution. But it is clear that these piecemeal interventions are not working. And that therefore, there needs to be a proper audit and review of how the entire city drains. And there's talent in young people, engineers who have done this work in other places who can be able to help us as a city to be able to stem this problem. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, there are simple things that I believe we can put in place as a county administration to help to save lives. For instance, when the meteorological department has told you that there's going to be heavy flooding, why can't we have early warning systems that can require employers to release people early from their offices so that we don't have traffic at those hours when it is raining, Honorable Speaker? Because it can be predicted with some degree of certainty the amount of rainfall we're going to receive on every single day, so that we warn people early to take precaution and to get home as fast as they can before the rains began, for the safety of everybody involved. And I am sure employers in Nairobi would actually cooperate. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to take this opportunity once again to just pass my condolences to everyone who has lost their loved ones. We, as the leadership in Nairobi, together with the national government, there's a few things that we believe we can do to assuage the situation, and we'll be doing it both in our individual and corporate capacities to try and extend help to those ones who have been affected. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator for Nandi County, Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join my colleagues in passing our deepest condolences, because we are told 42 Kenyans died because of Friday raging floods, Mr. Speaker, sir. 71 vehicles were swept away, and of course there was massive. I saw yesterday in one of the news outlets that most schools could not continue. Mr. Speaker, this issue of stormwater and drainage and the issue of flooding in Nairobi is not new. In 2023, there was a similar incident. I was embarrassed by the comments of Nairobi governor, who used to tell us in a work, but it looks like it does not work, Mr. Speaker, because they don't have even a storm drainage policy, as by my last checkings, Mr. Speaker. And I think I want to advise him to read a book called Eating Chiefs, a Nigerian by Topolo Young, Mr. Speaker, because it looks like eating is too much as opposing to working in Nairobi City County, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank the national government, because they have concentrated in giving necessary support to functionality. But I know the 80 billion, Mr. Speaker, might work in favor of alleviating suffering. Mr. Speaker, I want to propose the following. Because emergency and issues are concurrent functions, we should compensate the families that lost their loved ones, because it's a criminal negligence, Mr. Speaker. We should compensate for the lives lost and the properties that have been destroyed. Kenya Power, Mr. Speaker, should also compensate Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. So we want to appeal that as we go into the future, Mr. Speaker, is another point I want to make, since our colleague is here, is lack of oversight, Mr. Speaker. I want to encourage my brother, Omwami Sifuna, instead of saying Linda Mwananchi, he should start lindering Nairobi first. Because the problem is lack of oversight. Up to today, Mr. Speaker, and I know Senator Sifuna has zealously oversight the 10-point agenda of NADCO. He should start with Nairobi. If he can oversight the way he's oversighting NADCO and broad-based, if he could oversight Sakaja, we'd be not having problem, my brother Omwami Sifuna. Can you use the same passion to Linda Nairobi, not Linda Mwananchi? I saw you in Makueni. Start with Nairobi, my brother. That is where your vote is. The day you will want to run for president, start with Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. So finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to support on the issue of national ID. Let us remain focused and steady fast, Mr. Speaker. We want as many Kenyans to get the national ID. And I want to confirm to Senator Manzo that issuance of ID is free of charge, courtesy of William Ruto government. So make sure you take it so that we vote out.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to make some brief comments on this very important statement on floods in Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, floods did not come yesterday. This is a problem which has been transferred from one administration to another. So it will be illogical to blame the current administration of Sakaja of all the challenges on the floods. Mr. Speaker, my point is very clear.
Order.
Nairobi County, when you look at the soils, scientifically they are saturated. When you look at urbanization, there is rapid creeping urbanization in Nairobi County. Everybody is moving to Nairobi. What do you expect? The most logical thing, Mr. Speaker, is to try and look at what is the appropriate way of solving this problem for future generations. This is a systemic issue which started with poor infrastructure development by the colonial masters. You come into the current system where everybody is encroaching into the riparian lands. You cannot continue blaming one administration that is going to be able to solve all those problems. We can be populist, but that is not going to solve our problem. We have to be able to ask ourselves, what should be the problem and what is the solution? If you look at it right now, there is a problem in the sense that not one level of government takes full responsibility. The issue of floods in Nairobi is a shared responsibility between the national government and the county government. Clarify that first. Give one entity to be able to resolve that problem. Number two, in the past years where we've had flooding in Nairobi, and flooding in Nairobi is not unique to Nairobi alone. Other cities in Africa, Lagos is another big problem. In the past, what we have done in Nairobi County is that they have concentrated on issues of declogging the flooding routes. But the issue of the matter is that what must be done now is for this House to be able to push for more monies to go to our counties so that we don't have people from Western moving into Nairobi. We don't have people from Mount Kenya moving into Nairobi and setting up settlements where it's supposed to be, sort of like riparian land. That is the issue. Let us not run away from that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it is important to be logical and not just to be populist when it comes to the issue of solving problems in this country. We cannot run away from the fact that all of us are responsible. We start with policies here and ensure that our counties become homes for our people, not Nairobi. Nairobi is overpopulated because there are no jobs in our counties. Everybody is moving here. What do you expect? You know?
Senator Tabitha Morin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to start by supporting the statement from Nairobi Senator Sifuna in regards to the issue of the deputy governors across the 47 counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's very, very sad. Recently, I think a few weeks ago, we saw the Honorable Deputy Governor of Homa Bay, Honorable Tuoma, Magwanga, Mr. Speaker. I love that the House is very attentive. Did resign, Mr. Speaker. And he is just among the many deputy governors who are suffering in this country, across the 47 counties, Mr. Speaker. Suffering because we have not, as a House, completed on the bill and on the structures that need to be set as far as the issues of the deputy governors are concerned. It is sad that they are just used as vehicles during the political process, after the governors settle, and then the deputy governors become limbo. I mean, it is the high time, Mr. Speaker, because when the deputy governor office is set to standard, we will be actually having very minimal accountability issues in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so I urge the House that we speed up on the issue of the deputy governors. Quickly to the statement of my very good friend, my sister, none other than Senator Hamida Kibwana, on the issue of floods, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the capital city of Nairobi was at standstill in the evening. We thank God for the rains. But Mr. Speaker, it was sad because all of a sudden, apart from total darkness, then there was no movement, Mr. Speaker, because of floods, Mr. Speaker. When I listened to my senior brother, Senator Oledamo Okina, talking about that this problem is not a new problem, it's been there, then that should be an issue of governance, Mr. Speaker. Because if that has been the problem, then should be the priority of the leadership to prioritize on the issue of floods in the capital city, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate my party leader, the president, none other than Dr. William Ruto, who saw in his leadership and his wisdom to ensure that he adds 80 billion shillings to the great county of Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. Money that still will be oversighted by the National Assembly as we continue oversighting the county government. And this will be a priority, Mr. Speaker. And I want to add the delegation of Nairobi, led by our Senator, Mr. Speaker. We continue representing the people of Nairobi because they're the ones who have given us an opportunity to be in this city. I thank the national government for the quick response that we've seen, especially in
Senator Beatrice Akinyi.
Honorable Speaker, I sit here wondering why we are talking about floods in Nairobi and burying our heads in the sand, as if we did not know that because of poor planning, because of failure to upgrade facilities with the growing populations, I wonder, what did we expect? And the issue of flooding in Nairobi is not only limited to Nairobi. But, Honorable Speaker, I want to state that nature respects nobody. With the urbanization coming, and Honorable Speaker, we are not going to stop it because in 50 years and 35 years to come, 50% of the population of Kenya and any other place will be moving towards the urban centers. It is then only prudent that as governments we plan for those populations that are going to move to the urban centers. Honorable Speaker, the planning authority of our county governments must be called to order. The approval processes is in question because the buildings that are coming up and are blocking the drainage systems are obviously approved by the planning authorities. Honorable Speaker, as populations increase, the county governments must also upgrade facilities that we have in the cities that are not only limited to stormwater drainage, but to a number of facilities. Honorable Speaker, as we call on the issue of planning in Nairobi, we must call on the planning in all the counties, especially the towns, the municipalities,
that we have around. And it is for this reason that I want to support the collaboration that was there between the county government of Nairobi and the national government in upgrading the facilities in Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, I also want to support the statement by my sister on cancer. And Honorable Speaker, cancer must be declared a national disaster in this country, and not only limited to the uterine fibroids, Honorable Speaker, but I've been to hospitals in the past weeks, and you see a lot of Kenyans struggling to meet their health obligations, especially connected to cancer, Honorable Speaker. I therefore support, and I support that most of the county governments must relook at their environmental measures that they are putting in place, because we will not stop flooding and we are not about to stop.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join my colleagues to support the statement from Senator of Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, as rightly said by the Senator, actually the county deputy governors have a problem. That most of them have not been allocated in duties. Some of them don't attend even the cabinet, and they just stay there only waiting for instructions. And as a result of that, my committee, the Committee of Devolution, we have made a county government amendment bill in 2024, Senate Bill number 2, of the same issue, on the same issue. And I think the report has been tabled here. And I'm sure the bill, actually, what we have done is where it has been said that the governor allocates duties to the deputy governors, we have changed it to shall. So has it become now mandatory that the deputy governors must be given, must have responsibility constitutionally, and also the office must be resourced. I hope that will solve the problem. Honorable Speaker, the other one is actually the one done by the minority leader, harassment of police by the Muslims who are worshipping at night. And I think this is a very unfortunate situation. This is the holy month of Islam. The Muslims are actually, this is the most peaceful time. They undertake their obligations, and they do this for worship. And therefore, we will request the IG to give instructions to the police officers. We have only a few days remaining now. It's only 9 days remaining. And therefore, the Muslims must have time. And all that they can be able to move at night, because they worship at night, they fast the whole day, and they should be given, actually, the police should be given time to escort them. Thank you so much, Speaker.
Senator Majaya.
Asante Mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, kwanza nataka kutoa nataka kusema wale watu wote ambao walifariki hapa jijini Nairobi kwa sababu ya maji ambayo yalikuwa yametapakaa. Bwana Spika, ni jambo la kusikitisha kwamba wakati kama huu sisi tunaweza kupoteza vijana, tunaweza kupoteza wazee, watu wanaweza kupoteza mali kwa sababu ya mvua, na hali tunajua kabisa kwamba mvua inatabiriwa na tunajulikana itakuja kiasi gani na kutatokea nini. Kwa hiyo ni jambo la kusikitisha kama serikali hii ya Nairobi haikujitayarisha vilivyo kuona ya kwamba imekabiliana na hii mvua ambayo imekuja na imeharibu mali, imechukua magari, kila kitu, na mwishowe imechukua maisha ya vijana na wazee, kina mama. Si jambo ambalo ni jambo zuri. Kwa hiyo serikali ama kamati yetu ambayo itachunguza kitu kama hichi ni lazima izingatie kwamba kuwe na mwelekeo mwema katika kuona kwamba ajali kama hizi hazipatikani. Bwana Spika, ajali kama hizi pia zinapatikana kule pande za Kilifi ambako ni kama ambao kumewachiliwa. Watu wanaporomoka kwenye barabara ambazo ama njia zile ndogo ndogo ambazo zinakwenda katika mito. Bwana Spika, tunaona mito imeweza kuua vijana, akina mama wakati wakisafiri, na huu ni kitu ambacho kinatakana ile serikali zetu ambazo ziko katika mashinani zizingatie wakati kama huu, kuona wamepeleka taarifa na mapema, kuweza kuzuia watu ama kueleza watu kiukamilifu ili wasiweze kupatikana na janga kama hili wakati wakiwa wanaenda zao safari, pengine kutembea pande fulani ama kwenda mashambani kulima. Ni waepukane na yale maeneo ambao kama mvua ikija huja mvua za ghafla, alafu wakaweza kupoteza mali zao, pengine ng'ombe, wakapoteza mbuzi, wakapoteza kondoo, wakapoteza pia miji yao. Kwa hiyo hilo ni jukumu ambalo linatakana liangaliwe vizuri, na kamati ile ambayo itaangalia jambo kama hili ni lazima izingatie kuona kwamba haki imetendeka kote nchini, kuanzia watu wale wamepoteza maisha yao hapa Nairobi na property zao, na vile vile kuona kwamba watu wale wengine wako katika pande zote za Kenya ambazo wamepoteza mali wameangaliwa vizuri. Asante sana bwana Speaker.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Hamida, congratulations for the statement on Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked that sitting in this Senate, a senator can speak in defense of the leadership of the county of Nairobi today. There is no excuse. 31 people have died, property has been destroyed, and the reason is there for all to see. It is because of A, poor planning, Senator Olekina. B, failure to enforce the bylaws for construction. And D, corruption. Why do you want to blame the Moi corruption on the current problem in Nairobi today, Mr. Speaker? 90% of the buildings that are being constructed on riparian land in Nairobi have come up in the recent years. They were not done by Moi. So if the Senator of Narok wants to defend a wrong, let him defend a wrong from a barasa in Narok, not when the mess is in place, Mr. Speaker. These are very, very serious issues. This House gives the highest allocation to Nairobi. Last year, we gave 20.18 billion shillings to Nairobi for them to fix our water drainage system. And the Constitution is very clear. Waterways and drainage and roads is a county responsibility. Mr. Speaker, we cannot joke around with Nairobi. Nairobi's GDP is bigger than the GDP of many African countries, including Burundi, Chad, and what have you, and Rwanda. Mr. Speaker, if we don't speak to the truth and want to look nice to leaders, then we should be prepared to lose more lives. Mr. Speaker, at this time, when houses have collapsed in Nairobi and nobody has been arrested, when these kind of disasters are taking place and no single leader has taken political responsibility, Parliament, National Assembly, and the Senate, we are to blame. That is our oversight. Sakaja should be told, if he doesn't know how to do it, he should pack up and go. He is a relative to some of us, but relations are not meant to cushion killing of people, keeping children out of school. Some of us don't live in Nairobi, but our families are here. We couldn't sleep when we were seeing it at home, and we knew our wives are here in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, most of the children arrive at home, sometimes at 9 p.m. because of...
Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, even as we talk about Nairobi, I think that the magnitude of this problem has also been witnessed across the country. The first point of disappointment, which basically shows a lot of incompetence, is the fact that the Met indicated and prepared us that these rains were to come. After this preparation that rains were to come, Mr. Speaker, if you read the PFM Act, Section 112 of the PFM Act, it says that respective counties, their CC for finance, can actually prepare to use up to 2% at the very least, money that they can be able to use to put on emergency fund, and it can be used even without any bottlenecks, like taking them to the assembly for qualification, and prepare for this disaster. Mr. Speaker, what we have seen in our country today, and not only in Nairobi, because I've seen in Migori. If you go in Migori, right from a place called Sayote, in Migori town, to a place called Pandi, you go to the market of Migori that is flooded, you go to the place called Kabuto, places that these governors were born in those places, they know that the rains will come. The only difference is that this time round, the Met told them in advance that the rains will be more, 5 times, in some places even 10 times more than what they have seen. They ought to have prepared well, Mr. Speaker. There's no excuse for mischief for this. Because you have got the resources, you have got an infrastructure that we had put as a Senate, together with the National Assembly, for disaster readiness. We passed the act last year. And I remember the majority trying to marshal us here to pass that particular bill into an act that resources these counties to prepare. It is a shame, Mr. Speaker, that our governors don't care about our people. It's a shame. We call it the spade what it is, Mr. Speaker. You cannot have a county that expects the same magnitude of problems, the same drainage problems like Nairobi, like Migori County that I've seen, Mr. Speaker. People are dying in Migori County. I just passed through Lolgoria the other day when we were coming from burying our brother Wangeno. And in Lolgoria and Mogor River, it was impossible to pass those places. We were there as members of parliament. Were the governors there not prepared for that kind of disaster? Yes, they were prepared, because they were prepared by science of Met in this country. Let's not excuse our governors when they take a wrong decision of not preparing our people. At the very least, Mr. Speaker, you want to see a governor, at least one of them, who can be able to take time and even prepare their people, take them from these water banks and water areas.
Senator Mandago. Senator Munyahaji.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia kauli iliyoletwa bungeni na Seneta Hamida. Kwanza nimpongeze Seneta Hamida kwa kuweza kulizungumzia swala hili. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, Seneta Hamida amekuwa mstari wa mbele kuweza kuangazia mambo ambayo yanaathiri umma kote nchini. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni masikitiko kwamba tumepoteza takriban watu 32 katika jiji la Nairobi. Jiji ambalo lilitarajiwa kwamba linatoa huduma za kisawasawa kabisa kwa sababu tuko katika karne ya 21. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kweli kwamba taasisi ya hali ya hewa ilikuwa imetoa taarifa nyingi kuhusiana na masuala ya mvua. Na hii wanafanya kila wiki. Zamani Mheshimiwa Spika, utabiri ulikuwa hautabiriki. Lakini siku hizi wana vifaa ambavyo vinawezesha kutabiri na wakaeleza mpaka hali ya mvua ambayo itaweza kupatikana. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni utepetevu na uzembe wakati kaunti zetu zinalalia masikio wakati wananchi wanapata shida na kufariki. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna kazi nyingi ambazo zingeweza kufanywa mapema. Kwa mfano, zile drainage zote zingekuwa zimetolewa uchafu, zikatolewa michanga, ili maji yakiteremka yanateremka bila ya pingamizi. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hakika miundo misingi mingi katika jiji letu la Nairobi inapasa ijengwe tena upya. Kwa sababu kwanza, hali ya juu ama hali kubwa ya wananchi, yani population ya Nairobi imekuwa kubwa zaidi kuliko vile ambavyo ilikuwa hapo nyuma. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, juzi nilileta taarifa hapa kuhusiana na mijengo katika kaunti nyingi za kubwa kama vile Nairobi, Mombasa, Uasin Gishu, Kisumu pamoja na Nakuru. Mheshimiwa Spika, majumba mengi yanajengwa bila kuzingatia miundombinu katika sehemu zile. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapozungumzia swala hili, zile kaunti nyingine pia ziangazie mambo ya kuwa tayari kupambana na hali kama hizi. Kwa mfano Mheshimiwa Spika, zile kaunti kubwa kama vile Mombasa, ambapo tumewahi pia kupoteza watu kwa sababu ya mafuriko, kwa sababu ya mvua nyingi ambayo ilinyesha wakati ule
na watu wakaweza kupoteza maisha kutokana na utepetevu huo. Mheshimiwa Spika, kumalizia ni kuwa haya mafuriko, Mheshimiwa Spika, yanaweza haya maji yanayotokana na mafuriko, Mheshimiwa Spika, yanaweza kuwekwa katika mabwawa ili wananchi wayatumie kwa kumwagia maji mimea pamoja na maua katika miji mikubwa, na vile vile pia kutumika katika mambo mengine, kwa sababu haya maji yanaweza kusafishwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, yakaweza kutumika tena katika majumba yetu. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the statement by Senator Amita on the floods in Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, Friday was a terrible day for Kenya, especially Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, because we lost over 32 people and over 43 in the entire country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think the only time that Nairobi was probably run was between 2013 and 2017 when Evans Gidero was the governor. 2017, 2022, the national government had to come in, then we had the national NMS, and then 2022 to currently, Honorable Speaker, we have now a collaboration with the national government because basically the county is not working. Honorable Speaker, I agree with a conversation that was there sometimes back that I think Nairobi County should not have been a county. This should have been headed by a CS in charge of basically the metropolitan, because we have seen Nairobi County has elected incompetent governors for now 2 consecutive times, and because of inexperience, because this is an elected position, you seek for votes, there is no people of knowing what your qualifications are. In fact, Honorable Speaker, there was even a conversation before the elections of 2022 that the governor didn't complete his studies in Kenyatta University. So this is something that requires to be investigated. Maybe we have somebody who is incompetent in that particular county. And I think going forward, if there is an opportunity for re-looking at the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, we need to re-look at the qualifications for a governor. We need to rethink and check properly, because we have very many incompetent governors across the country. The reports we are getting in CPAC and CIBIC basically has shown us that we have people in the counties who don't know what they are supposed to do. They sought for votes, they were elected, but when they're in office, they don't know what to do. Some of them are not even in the counties. They are managing the counties away from the counties. They are managing the counties from hotels in Nairobi, Honorable Speaker. So this is something that we need to relook very clearly, especially for Nairobi. This one should be run by a CS. We can have the senator and MCAs and the women rep, but the governor of Nairobi should be a CS and not an elected position. This is something that we need a conversation, because this is the face of Kenya. This is where everybody comes. This is where we are all the senators, MCAs, and members of parliament. We reside here. We are residents of Nairobi, Honorable Speaker. I thought, as a serious governor, you would even dedicate one Saturday every month to involve the people of the county to help the county in terms of cleaning.
Senator Sochi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I want to send my condolences to the family that lost their loved one on Friday following the floods. Mr. Speaker, it was ironical that the disaster happened just immediately after my committee of CPIC had a day-long and 7-hour meeting with the governor of Nairobi to discuss issues of water and sewerage in Nairobi. And some of the things we were discussing in that meeting, Mr. Speaker, and looking for solution and discussing the challenges were tested by that massive floods that happened. One of the issues that came up, Mr. Speaker, was that the water infrastructure in this city, Mr. Speaker, we are still relying on the old dilapidated colonial infrastructure. We have not put in place a proper water and sewerage system for the city. And the population is continuing to grow, and that is what is making the county of Nairobi not to be in a better position to supply water and sewerage service to our people. But that aside, Mr. Speaker, it was also confirmed, while my colleagues here seems to be blaming the Nairobi county, it was also confirmed that the national government owes the county of Nairobi close to 120 billion shillings in unpaid water bills and sewerage bills. And they are known, they are there. So whereas they are telling us about the 80 billion, they owe Nairobi County more than 100 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. This is the money that if it was brought to Nairobi County, it will probably help in overhauling the old dilapidated infrastructure. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we also discussed the drainage system in Nairobi. And one of the challenges that came out is that roads in Nairobi, majority of the roads in Nairobi are still under Kura and Kera. When they are devolved, they are supposed to be managed by the county government of Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, Kura and Kera are the ones who do these drainage systems, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, this House has also a responsibility to come here and help this country reposition some of these functions back to the counties, Mr. Speaker. For example, road management and...
Senator Seki.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Also add my voice to the statement sought by Senator Amida Kibwana on the issue of floods in Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, it is true that much of the responsibilities stands with the governor, but these responsibilities is also within the national government, Honorable Speaker. But the governor of Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, needs to understand that he has a responsibility to make storm water drainages in Nairobi, and possibly he needs also to tell Kenyans and this House what is his budget in issues concerning stormwater drainages. He's even making an effort now that he knows that Nairobi has a problem of floods. Does he even do a small budget? Can he even allocate and plan for a budget on these issues of environment now that he understands well about his county? Not just the Nairobi County, Honorable Speaker, but all over. These governors, they don't understand what they should do when it comes to budgeting, Honorable Speaker. In Kajiado, we also have problems, big problems. Like in a place called Shompole, we've been having perennial problems on floods, Honorable Speaker. So it is this time, it is the time that these governors need to understand what's supposed to be budgeted and what is supposed to be done. Because there is an issue of budgeting and again an issue of implementation on their budgets, rather than just diverting budgets and funds to other different purposes. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of the deputy governor's statement sought by Senator for Nairobi, I want to believe that this Senate really needs to fast track the bill that is in this House, so that this kind of functions that need to have gone to the deputy governors, the conflicts of interest between the governor and the deputy governors, and issues of resignation or even resignation of governors from office, and even governors leaving office and being frustrated by the governors need to stop, because we have a solution, and that responsibility goes to the chair of devolution, that we need to fast track that bill so that at least this issue of governors resigning, them being frustrated, deputy governors should stop immediately. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Senator Hezena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first of all, I want to convey my sincerest condolences to the victims of the flooding in Nairobi County, and I rise to contribute on the same. Mr. Speaker, I have watched my colleagues throwing blame games and burying their heads in the sand. I'm sorry. I've watched my colleagues throwing blame games and burying their heads in the sand as far as this issue of flooding is concerned. Mr. Speaker, there is an African proverb that says that he who swallows a coconut must have full trust in his ability to dispense it later. And nature is very unforgiving. The flooding in Nairobi, and I want to disagree with the Senator Boni Khalwale's opinion that we cannot blame the former President Moi on the issue of flooding in Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, it must be noted in the books of records that Nairobi belonged to the Maasai, and it was actually a watering ground for the Maasai livestock, where State House is today used to be the Manyata or Boma, where our livestock used to be secured. And the fact that Nairobi was a watering ground clearly says that there is very little that can be done about this flooding. There is need to understand that nature is very cruel and unforgiving. And it doesn't matter how much we invest in the future, we have to relook at historical injustices. Nairobi is a case example of historical injustices, of lands that were grabbed and forcefully taken against the Maasai, and even worse, accusing them to be collaborators with the British. There is need to invest outside this city for the population to reduce. We cannot continue building skyscrapers built without proper legal documents or documentation, and then we still want to look for a solution for a problem that is out of hand. This is why I support the broad-based government fight against corruption, and this is why I again strongly support the collaboration between the national government and the county government of Nairobi to find massive use.
Now, honorable senators, the time allocated for comments on statements is long spent. I will allow Senator Kisang on a very different matter. I have about 30 senators wishing to say something. In fact, some of them want to say under 1 minute, but still. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to stand under Standing Order 159.1. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 159.1 of the Senate Standing Orders, I beg to notify the Senate that the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 11 of 2025, which was sponsored by the Standing Committee on Energy, stands withdrawn. Honorable Speaker, the principal object of this bill was to amend Section 223 of the Energy Act so as to exempt county governments from the category of public bodies required to seek consent from the Cabinet Secretary responsible for energy and petroleum before levying charges on wayleaves. Honorable Speaker, the committee conducted extensive public participation on the bill, during which submissions were received from the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Energy and Petroleum, the Council of Governors, the Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Digital Economy, the Chief Executive Officer of Communication Authority of Kenya, and various telecommunications companies, among other stakeholders. During these engagements, a number of legitimate concerns were raised. Honorable Speaker, further, during the consideration of the South Logichar Basin Field Development Plan and the production sharing contracts, it came to the attention of the Joint Committee on Energy of both houses that there is a need to amend various provisions of both the Energy Act and the Petroleum Act. In light of the foregoing, the committee resolved to stand down the bill to allow for further consultations and to facilitate the co-sponsoring of a more comprehensive bill addressing the identified issues. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Next, Order Clerk.
Order number 8, the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2024, resumption of debate.
The mover, kindly proceed to reply.
Mr. Speaker, this bill has given me hope in this House. As a leader of majority, I get discouraged many times when you move a bill and I'm called back to reply after only 2 or 3 speakers. It's extremely discouraging because having been in this House the last 3 terms, Mr. Speaker, part of the reason that I keep seeking election back to this House is a debate and the opportunity to inform policy through legislation that I get every time I speak to a bill. That culture was strongly getting eroded in this House. And there were many occasions, Mr. Speaker, where a bill will be moved, the seconder makes their remarks, maybe 1 or 2 people, maximum 3 speak to it, and I am called to reply to the same. And that really always breaks my heart because, Mr. Speaker, there are millions of Kenyans who have an idea of how we can improve the welfare of our society through various legislations. Unfortunately, they don't have the platform that we have. It is only we as legislators, Mr. Speaker, that God has granted the opportunity to be in this House at this very time so that we may influence policy, we may make decisions both for now and for posterity, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, when you get an opportunity as a legislator to speak, to share your thoughts, to add to the debate, and eventually move an amendment so that, and eventually it gets signed into law, you will sit when you're 60, 70, 80, like our colleague, the youth leader, and you look back with nostalgia and just say, I know how a particular law came to be, that this is what my colleagues thought, but I thought about this way, I convinced them through a sound argument on the floor of the House, and eventually they agreed with me, and that particular law, Mr. Speaker, is what it is today. Mr. Speaker, you know, all information comes from you. I don't know why there is a front bench here, Mr. Speaker, that is disrupting me as I'm making my comments.
Don't be informed by senior counsel.
I don't mind because he's my neighbor, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
and you
Senator
know,
Mugen.
he went to high school in my neighborhood, so I know they trained him well and he has good information sometimes.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I'm really following keenly the submissions by Majority Leader, but I'm also disappointed, Mr. Speaker, that I witnessed the signing of some 2 bills yesterday. One of them is the infrastructure bill, and I thought that that bill concerns counties, and we would have loved to have an opportunity as a upper house to debate, make some input that bill. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, why the Majority Leader did not put some effort to ensure that that bill comes in, also, and including the retirement benefits law on judges. So we want to debate, we like debating, but please, don't allow this House to be reduced to people who are just there to watch bills being passed. So I wanted to inform him that I'm a bit disappointed that I missed an opportunity to debate those 2 legislations. Yeah, I think that was not fair to this House.
Mr. Speaker, while that information is useful,
I'm not sure whether that is an information that...
in fact, is useful information, but first to the wrong audience, Mr. Speaker. Because Article 110.3, Mr. Speaker, does not give me those powers. The person he needs to inform is you and the office of the Speaker, because Article 110.3, Mr. Speaker, and his senior counsel, he knows this, gives the power to determine, before any bill is considered by both houses, to the Speaker. As Majority Leader, unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, I wish I had the power to exercise. I would have done exactly what you have said. But unfortunately, Senator Mogeni, I deal with it secondarily after the speakers have made the determination. But it's useful information. privately I can say other things beyond this floor on that particular topic. Mr. Speaker, I was speaking to the culture bill, and I said in all the bills that have been moved in this House, I don't recall a bill that has been spoken to by more than 20 senators. There are not that many, and this is one of them. And I want to encourage colleagues. That's a point that I was trying to pass, that we have a God-given opportunity to share our thoughts and shape, Mr. Speaker, policy in the country by first debating so that you persuade each other on what is good about a bill, what needs to be changed, Mr. Speaker, and how you engage with citizens later, Mr. Speaker. Even in years gone by, when you will be seated under a tree in your village in 20, 30 years from now, you'd say that this bill, Mr. Speaker, has my handwriting because I introduced a particular topic and my colleagues agreed or disagreed with me for this or the other reason. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate all of you colleagues that spoke to this culture bill, that we now have the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to move it to the additional steps. The other thing that I wish members could do, and I beg for your attention, members, is that beyond speaking and debating, there is something else called Committee of the Whole, which I have also seen very little participation by members of this House in this current session, unlike in previous sessions, Mr. Speaker. The Committee of the Whole now, Mr. Speaker, is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. It is an opportunity where we now write law, apart from legislating and just debating, Mr. Speaker. And I'd wish that all the things that you people said about the culture, particularly on the need to infuse into the bill, Mr. Speaker, the appreciation of the two levels of government as per our Constitution, for people to know that you need to change sections of that particular law to appreciate that they are county governments as well, and they are the reservoirs of culture, because that's the first government that citizens meet outside their homes before even they meet the national government, is a work of the county governments, Mr. Speaker. Yet, if you read this particular bill as it is, as moved, Mr. Speaker, the person who drafted it, and I have continued to fault, and I requested, Mr. Speaker, the last time, that the next time we have the Senate leadership, not leadership actually, the meeting that we have as a House, Mr. Speaker, that brings together all of us as senators, and we invite various stakeholders. I want to request the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk to make sure that the Attorney General is invited, because the State Law Office is a department in her jurisdiction, Mr. Speaker. And all these laws that are anti-devolution, they emanate from that particular session. And many of them actually are concluded by operation of the Constitution in the National Assembly that are in total violation of the spirit of devolution, Mr. Speaker. It is only those bills that make its way to the Senate that at least are infused a sense of appreciation that there are two levels of government, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know what it will take for the drafters at State Law Office to appreciate, because we are told most of them are lawyers, Mr. Speaker. And some of them, I don't know if they are old enough to have worked with Jeremiah when he worked there before coming to this House, Mr. Speaker. They must appreciate that that is a fact of life. Yet, I am yet to see a bill that has come to this House from the National Assembly that I can proudly co-sign and say, this bill appreciates that we have two distinct but equally dependent on each other levels of government, Mr. Speaker. I hope, because many of you spoke on that particular matter in your submissions on this particular bill, that you will have the discipline to actually file the amendments. I hope the committee, Mr. Speaker, that considers this, because many times colleagues leave it actually to the committee to lead us in the amendments, believing that they will do and carry the interest of the country and counties together and make it part and parcel of the laws that we pass, Mr. Speaker. Then it is my sincere and utmost hope that the report of the committee will guide us in that particular direction. Therefore, with those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. Finally, Mr. Speaker, in accordance to Standing Order number 66.3, I beg to request that the putting of a question be deferred to a later date. I thank you.
Very well. Your request is granted, so that will be, we defer the putting of the division. Next order.
Order number 9, the Agriculture Produce Minimum Guaranteed Returns Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2025, resumption of debate interrupted on Thursday, 5th March 2026.
I don't know whether there was a senator who was on the floor. If none, then the floor is open. We are now on order number 9. Senator Sifuna Edwin.
You know, Mr. Speaker, you were not in the seat earlier. There was some very interesting input from some of my colleagues about the work of this House. And some of them were casting negative aspersions at some of us, saying that we have not done our oversight work well. Speaker, I would expect that those members would be in the House now, because most of them come from actual agricultural areas. And I remember very correctly, Honorable Speaker, that the question of minimum guaranteed returns for our farmers was a promise that was made by the current administration. And even those of us who are on the Azimio side, we promised Kenyan farmers that we would put in place a mechanism to guarantee certain returns, at least when they go to their farms, that they are able to recover what it is that they put in terms of recovery of costs. Mr. Speaker, would you believe it that some of the senators there who are pointing fingers and saying Nairobi has not been properly oversighted, I remember, Honorable Speaker, that as a member of the County Public Accounts Committee, the chair of PAC sometimes has to restrain some of these senators from praising their own governors when they appear before these committees. And it is quite an interesting phenomenon, Honorable Speaker, that a senator would start praising a governor appearing before a committee, and Senator Khalwale has alluded to some of those input that we have had in terms of oversight in the country. But Speaker, I don't see the senator for Kirinyaga, who is also my advisor on agricultural matters, because he's quite of an expert on some of these issues. And Honorable Speaker, I do not understand why the bill has been framed as demanding minimum guarantee returns only from county governments. Because as I said when I started, this was a promise of the Kenya Kwanza administration that they would actually put in place the MGR for all our farmers across the country, for them to be able to earn a living from the practice of agriculture. So, Honorable Speaker, just briefly, we must do something to guarantee returns for farmers. I was watching a show on Citizen TV just this week, Honorable Speaker, of mangoes rotting somewhere in central Kenya, that farmers are able to produce, but they are not able to be guaranteed that there are going to be markets for their produce. We were in Makueni as well, a county that is famed for growing mangoes, Honorable Speaker. The farmers are putting in the work. We are not able to guarantee a market for them. What this bill is doing, Honorable Speaker, is actually putting the load on the county governments, that the county governments must somehow find money to pay these farmers for their produce, whether or not the county government will have an outlet for those for that produce at some point. Because the county government cannot just be paying money out to farmers and then essentially, Honorable Speaker, asking the farmers to bring that produce to rot at the county headquarters. There has to be a way that the national government and the county's governments are enabled to be able to have markets for this particular produce. So, Speaker, I think when we go through the bill itself, and the majority leader has encouraged us to pay attention to the committee of the whole stage of these bills, that we are able to bring in amendments that will make sense of the entire bill. I know that the mover of this bill, Senator Veronica Maina, is also very passionate about agriculture. And I remember one time, Honorable Speaker, when debate on the finance bill of 2024 was raging, she gave me the story of her, I think it was her grandmother, who had only one avocado tree at that particular moment in time. And she was being told that she was going to pay tax on that avocado. And it was very upsetting to her. So I am hoping that when we have this discussion with her, I was not here when she started to move the bill, but she also has to tell us now whether her grandmother has a guaranteed place that she can sell these avocados that she produces, or are we essentially binding county governments to be the buyers or the final buyers of the agricultural produce that comes from our farms? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, next, Senator Manzo, Daniel.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, this bill is like an insurance of the farmers all over the country, but done by the county government in the event there are floods, like the ones we witnessed recently, and the crops are swept away, then that farmer must be guaranteed some minimum amount, an estimation of what they would have made as farmers. Then, in case there is drought, then you are able to guarantee the farmers something. And any other calamities. But Mr. Speaker, the biggest calamity seems to be ourselves, seems to be the governance of the country. The amount of money you'll be using to guarantee these farmers can as well be used to guarantee irrigation and make sure that we are not relying on rain-fed agriculture. Because this one assumes, this bill assumes, there is no irrigation, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at what has happened in the country, it's very absurd. We have a lot of water at one point, and very soon we have drought. How I wish, Mr. Speaker, Thwake Dam was complete. With all this water you saw in Nairobi, the dam will be full now. It will guarantee control of floods downstream all the way to Kilifi. It will guarantee enough water stored to conduct irrigation in Kitui, Makueni, Machakos, Kajiado, and the coastal counties, Mr. Speaker. And if you have steady flow, and in fact when you do irrigation and you do drip irrigation, you're very sure in Israel, Mr. Speaker, they are guaranteed of a mango crop, avocado crop, and any other crop anytime, and they are able to get all the seasons right because they have constant flow of water. It's not that they have a lot of water, but they utilize the water very well from Lake Galilee, which is pumped into hills and released drop by drop, and they make maximum use of it. If an arid country like that can succeed, what about us who have very many rivers in northern Kenya? This morning I saw Honorable the Senator for Siaya Oburu talk about northern Kenya, which we have a lot of water now everywhere, but soon the animals will be dying. If only we dammed these rivers everywhere, if every single river in this country was dammed and provided water for irrigation, there's no farmer who will face any drought. The country will have enough to eat, and the country will have enough to export. And this not only deal with crops, this can also deal with animals. We have a lot of land to do animal farming. We would be doing very well because it's an agricultural-based economy. We would be exporting every day, but we are still bringing in more goods, and our trains going to Mombasa to the port carry less goods. So I really wish, and as the leader of majority has challenged, when it comes to third reading, we can really input this bill so that then the budgeting can come out. Because it's uncertain, you know, whether you'll have these calamities or not. So in the event the calamities, then that particular budget is just like the budget of calamities. If I remember, Mr. Speaker, and we were with you for many years at the National Assembly, every year we budgeted for calamities and kept the money aside, close to 10 billion Kenyan shillings, as an insurance of a calamity. But every time a calamity happens in this country, that money has never been seen. Kenyans just struggle on their own. They take care of the losses. The only calamity now I've heard, considered just a little bit, is the county of Nairobi promising that they will waive mortuary fees. Prevention is better than cure. That's the only guarantee which was given. Prevention is better than cure. If only we had prepared for these calamities, if only we gave people alerts and told them on Friday night, don't move, stay at home, then we will not have this sort of thing. And similarly with the farming, Mr. Speaker, if we give irrigation, you don't need this guarantee. You don't need this bill, because everybody is able to control the climate and everybody is able to make farming successful. If it is animals likely to get sick, there will be sufficient precaution and prevention measures with good scientific research and data. Therefore, as much as we want to have this law, and as much as this law is important, I believe the government can do better with the resources we have. I really want to challenge the government now that, in my opinion, KPC has been sold at a loss. But now that there is a report that there is a big profit, then I want to see Thwake Dam completed, because we are trying to borrow 9 billion shillings from African Development Bank. Yet we never honored our share because we didn't have money. Now that we have a lot of money, can I have Thwake Dam back before this water is over? I really want to look for the president and challenge him on Thwake Dam, because he promised it to be done by April. But up to now, we have not yet borrowed from African Development Bank. We did not honor our own earlier agreement on the shares Kenyans were to pay on their part. And now that there is a lot of money floating around, I really want this dam complete. And not only this, the Grand I Force. This will control the water in Tana River. It will give a lot of counties in northern Kenya, Tharaka, and all those places, enough water for irrigation. And we will control the floods going to Magatana's home in Tana River. We wouldn't have his people be washed, or like he said during the Kacha Bill, how children used to swim, and now you can't swim in floods. So we if we do these dams, and we have many more rivers in northern Kenya, the country will change completely. The climate will change also. We'll plant more trees. We'll have more water masses, and therefore we'll have this rainfall, which comes with the presence of water. When clouds are passing, they gather water, and you have improved climate, Mr. Speaker. So it goes on with a lot of goodies. This is a good law. I hope we do input. But most important is better planning, better investment. You need not compensate anybody if you have better planning of the country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Senator Mungatana, Danso.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill, the minimum guaranteed returns bill. Mr. Speaker, the Agriculture Produce (minimum guaranteed returns bill 2025 was moved by the Honorable Senator Veronica Maina. Mr. Speaker, this is a very innovative way of trying to make business out of agriculture, of attracting our young people back to the land and helping them to start life in the rural area. Mr. Speaker, many young people depart from the county of Tana River and other counties. They come to Nairobi to try their luck, as they say, and see how things will turn up. And yet, Mr. Speaker, there's plenty of land that if these young people were given an opportunity to farm the land, they were given a guaranteed return on the work they have put, Mr. Speaker, we would have cut the massive movement of young people from the counties into Nairobi and other big counties like Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nakuru, Mr. Speaker. I believe, Mr. Speaker, that this bill is one of those ingenious moves that should be supported by all people who have read and understood what this bill seeks to do. Mr. Speaker, the bill tries to work out the value of the market price for the product that is being cultivated. And then, Mr. Speaker, it tries to give the comprehensive cost of putting up the entire production cycle so that then, Mr. Speaker, a reasonable farmer who has gone to work the land should expect this amount of profit at the end of the season. So, Mr. Speaker, if maybe you studied accountancy, you studied law, and you are not getting a job, and there is land where you are being given a guaranteed minimum return, Mr. Speaker, that is a place you can start your life from. And Mr. Speaker, it is not inventing the wheel, because there are many countries, Mr. Speaker, that protect their farmers. They give them guarantees in terms of returns. And Mr. Speaker, it is proposed in this bill that the farmer who is registered, because they must be registered at the county, they must meet a certain criteria that is given within this bill. And once they have met the criteria, Mr. Speaker, they are then required to give comprehensive cost for the production of the crop that they are engaged in. And then, Mr. Speaker, they are guaranteed a 20% return on the comprehensive cost. And Mr. Speaker, if the market should plummet so that the market price goes below the expectation, they are still guaranteed 20% in terms of profits from the comprehensive cost of putting this crop on the land. Mr. Speaker, what does that do? It makes many of the young people who would run away from the counties to stay there. It makes then agriculture a profitable venture. It makes also food security to be a reality, because people are producing food and they are sure that whatever happens, the county government, after it goes through all the processes, Mr. Speaker, they will get back the cost of putting up the crop for harvesting, and also a 20% profit. Mr. Speaker, this is a beautiful bill that needs to be supported in this House. And Mr. Speaker, it's the kind of bill that democratizes wealth within the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of wastage in the counties. If this bill can become law, then maybe some of the money that is going to waste, some of the money that is going into corruption, it can be allocated specifically to cater for farmers, young farmers, Mr. Speaker, so that they are able to receive something from the wealth of the monies that we send to the county. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that we send here from this Senate equitable share to our counties, and sometimes you cannot explain what has happened. Mr. Speaker, 9 billion goes down to Tana River County. And Mr. Speaker, when you go there, you cannot tell what the governor has been doing for an entire financial year. When the end of the year comes and the reports are coming from the Auditor General, you are shocked at what is going on in the counties. So, Mr. Speaker, if this law becomes a reality, as I support it to be, then it means the Department of Agriculture within the counties will be forced to put aside some funds that will be guaranteeing some monies to the farmers. This is practical, Mr. Speaker. This is what UDA was saying, putting the money in the pockets of farmers, guaranteeing, Mr. Speaker, that money will go back to the pocket. And Mr. Speaker, it is not all farmers who are qualified under this bill. It is not all the farmers. It is those who will meet the criteria. And it is not all the acreage. So you cannot be a farmer who has 100 acres doing wheat farming and coming to claim minimum guaranteed returns. No. This bill, Mr. Speaker, is supposed to target the small-scale farmers, those who are trying to eke a living from the ground. Mr. Speaker, this kind of law is what brought us here, to protect the weak, to help them also make it in this life, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are many people who have gone to school and they are not able to put food on the table. They are not even able to leave their father's houses. Why? Because, Mr. Speaker, it has become impossible to get jobs for some of them, because maybe the kind of course that they undertook is not marketable within the economy currently. So, Mr. Speaker, if you get a university graduate who is able to have minimum guarantees in terms of the returns from the farm that is available in the county, Mr. Speaker, this will help start to democratize the economy so that more people have more money in their pockets. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this is a bill that needs our support. We as the senators, as the older people in politics, as the more sober people in politics who have the opportunity to serve our people, this is the kind of law that we must make noise for, we must support, and we must push so that it becomes reality. So, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to really congratulate the sponsor of this bill, the Honorable Minor, and the work that she has put into it, and this research that has gone into this work. Mr. Speaker, in countries like France, you don't joke with farmers. You don't. Those are people who can actually overthrow even a government. These are people who are highly respected, Mr. Speaker, and they are given all manners of protection. But, Mr. Speaker, we are not too late. When we start with small steps like these ones, that we are helping the small-scale farmer, the small person back at home, to make sure that the agriculture he's doing makes sense, that it puts back some money in his pocket. Mr. Speaker, we are taking the right step in the right direction. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the sponsor of the bill, and I pray that the Agriculture Committee will also look at it again so that they can put any form of input into it. For me, Mr. Speaker, I am satisfied. I'm happy. I've read this bill. It's a short bill that you can go through in a short time, but it is speaking volumes, and it is going to help many Kenyans who have at least no job for now to earn a living and to guarantee them a living within this land, the beautiful land we call Kenya. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I beg to support. Thank you.
Senator Eddy, I can see you are seeking my sympathy, but I wanted first to give the majority leader, then I come back to you. If he is not leader, then you can utilize your minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. I wish to make my contribution to this the Agriculture Produce Guaranteed Minimum Returns Bill. This should not be confused, because I heard Senator Sifuna speaking earlier saying that guaranteed minimum returns was a promise of the Kenya Kwanza administration. I agree, Mr. Speaker, but it is not in the form and the text of this particular bill. This is a private member's bill that seeks to enhance, actually, ways in which we can guarantee how our farmers earn. Mr. Speaker, this is important, and why I support this bill, Mr. Speaker, is that I am a representative of farmers. By and large, Mr. Speaker, 70, if I'm not wrong, to 80% of the people that vote to send me to this house, Mr. Speaker, are primarily farmers, and that is what agriculture is, a substance of their economic activity, and that is what they rely on to eke out a living, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, any opportunity to make their life better in whatever form, including even in the minutest of actions, including passage of this particular bill, which gives some form of power to county governments, Mr. Speaker. I know this bill, when it goes to the National Assembly, they will struggle to appreciate the effort of Senator Veronica Maina. But we must be able to do our part, Mr. Speaker, and ensure that we do that which we are duty-bound to ensure that we rise up to the occasion and ensure that our farmers, from dairy to coffee, tea, sugar, livestock, Mr. Speaker, poultry, and all representatives in the agriculture subsector, Mr. Speaker, are well taken care of. It is a well-known fact and the most poorly guarded secret that 60% actually, Mr. Speaker, of our GDP is taken care of by the agriculture sector. And therefore, every time the agriculture sector is doing well, Mr. Speaker, we can proudly sit and say that the country is okay. When farmers struggle, Mr. Speaker, we have no business putting on the suits that we put on and being in this particular house. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I have always insisted to colleagues that we must lead the way in the determination and any conversation that exists in this particular house, Mr. Speaker, on what needs to happen with regards, Mr. Speaker, to the various agricultural sectors. Mr. Speaker, in fact, this afternoon, I wish to register my appreciation to about 18 senators have this far signed this petition that I have in my hand. It is a petition to the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, Madam Martha Koome, Mr. Speaker. This petition is signed by representatives of sugarcane farmers, those of us that are senators from counties that sugarcane is one of the mainstay activities. We passed the sugar bill, Mr. Speaker, in this House in 2024. After almost 6 years of haggling, remember last Parliament, up to as late as June of 2022, we were trying to pass the sugar bill. We didn't make it. And when we came back, it's one of the bills that I prioritize as majority leader to ensure that we conclude, because a significant section of the people that I represent in this House, Mr. Speaker, are sugarcane farmers. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, since the passage of that particular law, there have been case after case filed in different high courts across the country by people who are dissatisfied by either one or the other clause, issues of the elimination of boundaries in the catchment areas, issues of elections of directors to the sugar board, establishment and responsibilities of the board, Mr. Speaker, and so many other things in that particular law, that immediately after the judges that these people visit grant stay of execution of those sections of the law, Mr. Speaker, that matter is taken to rest. And this morning, I took the liberty to urge my colleagues who represent sugarcane farmers that we must come together and write to the Chief Justice, which is what we have written, and ask that we must consolidate all those cases, listen to them, and be given a determination in the shortest time possible in the interest of the millions of Kenyans who depend on sugarcane farming as an economic activity, Mr. Speaker. We must remember from experience, Mr. Speaker, that when we passed the tea bill in this House in 2020, moved by yours truly, it took a whole 5 years for tea farmers to enjoy very serious provisions of that particular law because of this same strategy where people go to court, judges issue conservatory orders against sections of that particular law, Mr. Speaker, and the matter is laid to rest for the next 3 or 4 years. We cannot allow that to happen to sugarcane farmers, even as we try to resolve all the issues that are in the tea subsector. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, allow me to register my appreciation to the 20 senators that have signed this petition, that tomorrow morning we will be dispatching, Mr. Speaker. I know Senator Moses Kajwang is telling 21 because he also wants to sign it. His place is also part of the petition. Because we must appreciate, Mr. Speaker, that much as we come into this House smartly dressed, the way Senator Eddie is dressed this morning, Mr. Speaker, we must appreciate that the people we represent actually wake up to go to their farms on a daily basis, and that is where they draw their bread and butter, Senator Eddie Okech. And therefore, any opportunity to better agriculture, be it the dairy sector, be it tea farming, be it coffee farming, Mr. Speaker, we must always be at the forefront speaking on and for our farmers, because they are the very reason that we find ourselves in this particular House. Mr. Speaker, it is a known common fact by any adult of sound mind in this country that at any given time when agriculture is on the up, Mr. Speaker, the economy does well. When we have difficulties and challenges, Mr. Speaker, such as drought, severe disease, or acute market for any of our crops, Mr. Speaker, the country and our economy get depressed about that particular situation. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, any effort to ensure that our farmers earn better must be lauded, must be supported, must be implemented, Mr. Speaker, because that is the very reason that we find ourselves representing people in this particular House. Therefore, I must commend Senator Veronica Maina for this noble initiative, humble in thought as it is, humble in purpose and intent as it will be, because I believe there are many other things. If you read Kenya Kwanza's manifesto, known as the plan, Mr. Speaker, agriculture is topic number 1, and guaranteed minimum returns is one of the topics that are covered so effectively with what needs to be done in each of those steps. I appreciate, Mr. Speaker, that some of those matters have been significantly addressed, including, for example, ensuring that our farmers produce cheaply by subsidizing the cost of production. What comes to mind as of immediate thought, Mr. Speaker, is fertilizer. The subsidized fertilizer program, Mr. Speaker, has been effective and has ensured that many of our farmers are getting almost double of what used to be their yield from the same size of land, simply by application of the right fertilizer delivered by Government of Kenya at the right time. Mr. Speaker, there are other forms of guaranteeing better returns, minimum returns for our farmers, including, Mr. Speaker, ensuring that we produce locally that which we need not import. It is a known fact, Senator Eddie, that 25% of our export earnings as a country gets depleted by 3 main food items that we import into the country, and that is rice, wheat, and edible oil, all of which we have sufficient land to plant, enough sufficient for us to feed ourselves and even export to other countries, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we must continue to encourage the investment in those particular sectors, Mr. Speaker, so that farmers earn from it. As a country, we grow our GDP and we reserve our earnings from export to do other things, Mr. Speaker, in ensuring that we better our economy. The topic of agriculture is sweet, and any representatives of the people that don't appreciate the things that we need to do on each and every particular sector, Mr. Speaker. I can speak long and hard on this particular topic because I am proud of what this administration that I so proudly belong to, Mr. Speaker, has done for many of our farmers, Mr. Speaker. Rarely do farmers, for example, appreciate what has been done. Many at times, because I've been in leadership for quite a fair amount of time, farmers used to cry and plead with us. I remember the days where I'd go to the Kipkelion area of my county, Mr. Speaker, and farmers will plead with me to make interventions on the things that were happening in the coffee subsector. Today, Mr. Speaker, I can address every meeting in that particular section, and they'll complain about almost everything, but coffee will not be part and parcel of the complaints that they lay before me. They appreciate the interventions that have been made, from a low of almost 30 shillings per kg of cherry in 2022 to upwards of 100 plus as we speak today, and the price keeps on improving, Mr. Speaker. And we are pushing many of our farmers in that particular part of the county to ensure that they plant coffee, as well as many parts of the country, Mr. Speaker, because that is a crop that is on an upward trend. We have challenges in other sectors, for example, the tea subsector, Mr. Speaker, and the things that need to be done in that particular section are well known and are in the public. I want to urge members of this House, those that serve in the Agriculture Committee, including the whip, who I'm not sure, Mr. Speaker, whether he's trying to be a Robert Mugabe of this day and age, Mr. Speaker, because traditionally, as per the traditions of this House, when you hold a position of leadership, you cede control or chairmanship of parliamentary committees, Mr. Speaker. It's been months now since the majority side voted to have him as our whip, but he still chairs the Agriculture Committee, Mr. Speaker. That needs to be rectified, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Moses Kajwang is seeking to inform you, yes, if you allow that. I don't mind.
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to inform my leader that Senator Kimani wa Matangi became a whip and was a chair of the Roads Committee, yeah, and was a member of the Public Accounts Committee and was vice chair of the Public Accounts Committee. Senator Kangata, yeah, was also whip for a few months before, yeah, he wrote a letter, yeah, and the whip was de-whipped. Yeah. So I just wanted to inform the majority leader that there is a precedent. And even Senator Eddie Okech, yeah, the leader of the Broad-Based Youth Movement, is a chair of the Roads Committee, the vice chair of the Public Investments Committee, and he's a man who understands power. So please do not interfere with Senator Wakoli. I beseech the majority leader not to de-whip Senator Wakoli.
Mr. Speaker, he has chosen from the worst of examples, Mr. Speaker. The list that I'd wish any member who wants to serve with distinction. It is a culture and the practice, at least the one that I found in this house when we came together with Senator Moses Kajwang in the first Senate, that when you serve in the leadership, in fact, Senator Moses Kajwang, I must say this is the first time that I'm seeing leaders of the House serving in certain committees. It used to be a preserve of the other ordinary colleagues to serve in certain committees that are considered either prestigious or luminous for reasons that I cannot discuss on the floor. And I am saying that, Mr. Speaker, bearing in mind that Senator Eddie Okech is here. He has been mentioned, Mr. Speaker, as a man, despite his love for power, needs to cede certain positions to other members. Love for service, if I may put it, Mr. Speaker. Power is not a bad thing, Senator Eddie. It is what you do with it that can be bad. It is good to have power, but what you do with it is what matters, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker, Senator Okongo Omogeni is in the House today, and I earlier saw Senator Wamatinga. Our commissioners are in the House thanks to the crisis in the Middle East, Mr. Speaker. You know, travel is now... you know, travel has been interfered with.
There is a point of order from the Senior Counsel Omweni, Commissioner.
Mr. Speaker,
Point of order.
you know, Majority Leader, Mr. Speaker, used to be a commissioner. And I've gone through the records and I've seen the bad habits of the commissioners of yesteryears. They are the ones who used to be airborne every now and then. I remember we christened them Sky Team. But Mr. Speaker, the commissioners of this term are more reasonable. In fact, I have not traveled anywhere the entire of this session. And we are here to serve members. And you can see what we have done. Yeah. So I just wanted to inform my majority that we don't have those bad habits of commissioners of yesteryears. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I was following a story by...
that the former commissioners used to fly that zone, the Saudia zone?
No. Mr. Speaker, you know, it is Senator Cherarge who told me that one time they were alighting from a flight with Senator Omogeni. And instead of coming home at the lounge, he saw another plane and he asked him, where is this one going? He said, yeah, put me in this one also. So I don't know whether Senator Cherarge lied to me. Mr. Speaker, back to agriculture, because that's what we need to be discussing. So, Senator Kajwang and colleagues take keen interest in agriculture. We were having a very nice debate with Senator Kajwang and colleagues the other day in Naivasha when we had the Senate retreat on who between the sugarcane farmer, the tea and the coffee farmer earns better. And I was trying to explain to them the difference, that while the coffee and the tea farmers appear to earn more on a yearly basis, you must remember that when a sugarcane farmer plants today, in 14 or 16 months, or sometimes even, because there's a new ratoon that is now with Kesri at Kisumu, that gets actually ready in 12 months, they begin earning. And for the next 4 or 5 years, they will earn for that crop. The coffee and the tea farmer has to wait first for 4 to 5 years of freezing without earning anything before subsequently they earn the other years. But the point that Senator Veronica is reminding this House is that our counties must know that the primary reason for existence was to take services closer to the people. And I cannot imagine of a better service other than ensuring that agriculture works, Mr. Speaker, in our counties. And we must tell governors that there is more we can do in agriculture beyond giving packs of seed, Mr. Speaker. While that is commendable, there are many other things as such what Senator Veronica Minor wants to remind counties today. Organizing even farmers to ensure that they consolidate their crop and aggregate it, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that nobody takes advantage of them. My county, for example, Mr. Speaker, has very serious avocado farmers. Many times as I travel across the county of Kericho, you find them that they have poured their crop on the roadside and they are waiting for buyers who want to come and pick it for the cheapest price that is available. It is the expectation of this constitution, Mr. Speaker, that our county governments led by our governors will consolidate and ensure that you aggregate for farmers of such crops that, and industries that haven't been properly organized, so that middlemen don't take advantage of them. Instead of buying an avocado for 5 shillings, Mr. Speaker, and going to sell it for nearly 70 or 80 shillings in countries far and beyond, with little addition other than just preserving it and packaging it nicely, Mr. Speaker, it is the expectation of this bill that actually county governments will form committees to ensure that you preserve the dignity of our farmers, Mr. Speaker, by making sure they earn better. And so many other things that our county governments need to do. You're now saying that because I have seen, because of the rains, Mr. Speaker, you are finding lazy governors now parading people in their hundreds and dishing seeds and without fertilizer sometimes, Mr. Speaker, and trying to portray that as advancements of agriculture in their county. They can do certain better things than these kind of organizations, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, that is what this bill is calling on our county governments to do, our governors to be better organized and appreciate and do things as expected of them in the 21st century, including Senator Cherargei. Growing up, you know very well that agricultural extension officers were part and parcel of the respected officers within our counties, because they'd visit the various homes and advise each farmer. As it is today, Senator Omogeni, can you think off the top of your head how many agricultural extension officers exist in your county of Nyamira? How many are being paid for? But because many of these gentlemen and women that are in charge of our county governments lack the appreciation of the direct needs of the people that we represent, Mr. Speaker, you'd find that there is concentration in hiring in other sectors, Mr. Speaker, much as there is competition, Mr. Speaker, for resources and the need to find the various sectors of the economy, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture should not be left behind. And county governments must resource their agriculture departments. In fact, you can know as a county senator whether your governor understands their job well by just seeing how much of the resources that are devoted to them are actually set out under the agriculture sector, Mr. Speaker. If there is little or none, then that governor does not appreciate the needs of his own people, Mr. Speaker, because there is no way in modern day Kenya that you can have a conversation about government intervention in trying to make the lives of its own people better without intervention such as what is being made in this bill in the agriculture sector. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I allowed Senator Veronica Mana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next is Senator Okechendi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know my name has been mentioned by Senator Kajwang, having been in a number of committees. One is, of course, I'm the chair of Roads and Transport, and I am also the vice chair of CPIC. But also it is important that Kajwang understand that I'm also a member of Finance and Budget. The only thing that maybe a majority does not understand is that this is not positions of power. I don't think that there's any committee in Senate, to be particular, that is a committee where you exercise power. I think all these committees are point of service. Mr. Speaker, you have seen time without number that from Monday to Friday, most of the time I tend to be in Nairobi serving in these committees. And this is not dissimilar to other members who are also actually in these committees. I see Senator Kajwang always in this his committee is one of the biggest committees because he deals with a lot of paperwork to deal with county executives, and it's important that the public knows that one of the reasons why senators are not on the ground most of the time is because they spend a lot of time working in these committees and serving the people. So they're not places of power, they're places of service. Places of power maybe are where a majority is seated. That leadership could be a place of power, but even him, I've never seen power enter his head. I think he's a man of service from what I've seen him when I visit him in Kericho doing. But that said, let me get to the bill, Mr. Speaker. Excuse me. The agricultural produce minimum guarantee returns. Mr. Speaker, this bill has got 3 objectives. Number 1 is to improve income stability for farmers by providing a guaranteed return to cushion them against market fluctuations. And then number 2, it wants to promote food security by incentivizing the carrying out of agriculture in our communities and our localities. And then number 3, of course, is to facilitate equitable agricultural development across counties. What does this look like? when I look at it from an economics perspective. Mr. Speaker, this is a bill that, if you may, still looks at the agricultural sector as a place of dealing with cycles of poverty in our communities. Because if you talk about something like ensuring that there is development of agriculture across counties, and you also want to stabilize prices, you want to stabilize prices in a place whereby most likely the market economy is failing. That's why you want to stabilize income for farmers, because it's not guaranteed that if they go to the market, then they will get the market for their produce. And even if they were to get the price that is commensurate to the market of their produce, it is not guaranteed that during the time that they're doing their production, their input, their cost of production would be cushioned. In fact, this is one of those bills that try to look at a different way of doing subsidy. Majority Leader, you know, we have had something like fertilizer subsidy, which is basically looking at the price index of fertilizer. The government carries forward the price, and then you pay a minimum amount. But that doesn't guarantee that as a farmer, you will have that minimum amount. Even if the amount was to be 2,000 to buy a kg or a bag of fertilizer, when the subsidy where government has taken over some cost and reduced the amount, it doesn't guarantee that you'll have the 2,000. But what this bill is saying, it is saying that actually you can actually give direct financial support to a farmer. I find that to be very brilliant, because it is a reverse way of being able to give those financial support to farmers and make sure that where there might not be a proper sharing of retail price of their commodities, it is guaranteed that they will get some form of income, despite the fact that they might not be able to get it in the market. Mr. Speaker, when we talk about facilitating equitable agricultural development across counties, what sinks into my head immediately is the idea that this bill has got the potential of enabling what we would call value addition and developing processing plants, cottage industry for these farmers to be able to not only bring their produce in the raw form, but also to enable those farmers to actually go ahead and start doing processing, start getting involved in value addition, start getting to build verticals and value chains. That then is how you are able to develop these agricultural practices. So to that extent, Mr. Speaker, I really support this bill to the extent that it will be a serious poverty cycle elevator. It will be able to help develop market prices in the market where produce are taken, especially, Mr. Speaker, because we know, we all in Kenya, and we know that the way our market for agricultural products are based, it is based on brokers. Some people call themselves aggregators. A farmer goes and does their tomatoes in a Mali, or they get their fish from Lake Victoria, because those are also farmers of fish in Lake Victoria. But because you cannot get high-value fish in Lake Victoria, there will be a broker who wants to get that fish and buy it at a cheaper price that cannot be able to guarantee the farmer proper income or commensurate income, and that broker will end up taking that fish all the way from Lake Victoria and brings it to Thika, then they process it in Thika. Mr. Speaker, sometimes they do as little things as even animal feeds. They will bring them, there's something called, I don't know the name in English, but I'll quote it as ochonga. Maybe my brother Senator Kajuang, who grew up in the lake, might know what ochonga is in English. And even omena, Mr. Speaker, that is being used for feeds. They take all this, the broker will take it and bring it to where there is an industry, which is far away from the raw materials where they're produced, turn it into a high-value product, make a lot of money from it, and the farmer barely makes anything from it. So the farmer does not end up sharing in the price, in the retail price of the final commodity, which is always a higher value. The same applies to tomato. It is taken from Mali. Before it comes to Nairobi, it is now tomato sauce. And before you realize the tomato sauce has got higher value, the farmer does not get in the price, in the retail price of the final commodity. And I can go on and on. Even in the dairy industry, Mr. Speaker, a farmer sells their dairy product at about 30 shillings. Before you realize it has been taken to another place, industry far away, it is now selling at 120. The farmer does not share in the retail price of that final product commodity. So, Mr. Speaker, it's extremely important that if this bill was to pass, it will be able to make sure that the producer, processor amount that is going to the farmer is not only going to the broker. You know, I'm not the speaker. You have to get attention of the speaker, Mr. MATIANG'I. And Mr. Speaker, that is why I'm saying that it's extremely important that we pass this bill to make sure. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Informed by Senator Chelgei?
Is Chelgei a lawyer or a farmer? But he should inform me about that first, whether he's as a lawyer or a farmer, then he can proceed. I'm giving that opportunity to the rider that is a farmer, not just a lawyer masquerading in Nairobi.
Mr. Speaker, naturally, I am a lawyer by profession, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and a member of Supreme Court, and also as a farmer, because I grew up with farming. I farm maize, dairy, and even grocery, Mr. Speaker. What I wanted to inform him, and I want to agree with this line of thought, Mr. Speaker, the biggest challenge in issue of market pricing, especially in crop produce and products, either from dairy, is there is a moribund organization, Mr. Speaker, called Competitive Authority of Kenya.
That's true.
We must, because it doesn't make sense, Mr. Speaker, that the pricing of milk, for example, in Nandi, is lower than it is in Nairobi, Mr. Speaker. So I want to inform him that we need to, in fact, add a Competition Authority of Kenya to tell us what they are doing with these unfair trade practices, especially that does not value farmers. So I agree with the Senator of Migori, the distinguished senator, the chairperson of Roads and Transport and Housing, the vice chair of County Public Investment Committee, and the incoming Senate Deputy Minority Whip. Mr. Speaker, I beg to inform my colleague.
Mr. Speaker, I was going to mention the Competitive Authority of Kenya if I had time, but I will see whether my time will allow that. I can see I still have about 10 minutes, but I'll try to be short so that I can give other people also a chance to contribute. So, Mr. Speaker, I think I've exhausted the idea of market, market risks that farmers end up having, to the extent that those adverse market conditions do not protect them to get proper income. But, Mr. Speaker, I wish, because this bill, the way it is framed, looks at us from a cultural side where we see agriculture as a poverty industry, so that all the crops tend to be poverty industry, even where it has worked, Mr. Speaker, because where this has been tested mostly in our country today is mostly mango and I think dairy. And I think the reason why this has happened is because we haven't done a legal assessment, a comprehensive legal assessment, to look at how does this problem in the market area affect all other crops in the country. Because if you were to do that, and if you didn't want to interfere with the market, so that the rule of demand and supply can be able to stabilize prices for farmers in the market, Mr. Speaker, the biggest thing you need to do is an assessment of what actually is currently happening for all the crops that we are seeing in the industry. And my layman understanding, because I come from a serious agricultural community, is that this problem starts in lack of this kind of legislation. There are players who have come in the marketplace to guarantee farmers some of these farm inputs that then end up skyrocketing their production costs. For instance, Mr. Speaker, there is 1 acre fund. If you look at all small-scale farmers who have got at least an acre where they're growing anything, whether it's a cash crop or just a food crop, you will find that the organization like 1 acre fund who will then give them the farm inputs. And basically what they have done is create a fund, we give you farm inputs, and then we take them as loans that then they recover at the end of the farmer's harvest when they take their produce in the market. That means that such organizations, there is one also called Apollo Agriculture, There are a number of them. There are a number of these organizations that have come in the marketplace, which once their product has been taken to the market, they will take in the share price of what has been taken in the market in the bid to recover the amount they have given a farmer in the input process. Mr. Speaker, that's what is real. Leave alone the others that could look like they are hypothetical. What our farmers are confronted with today is that in the absence of this kind of bill, they are interacting with those kind of organizations. That is where they get their recourse in terms of dealing with their lack of subsidies and being able to get better inputs. And then those organizations take control of the market side of things. What am I trying to say here? Maybe we could improve this bill to be a market guarantee bill, instead of just looking at it as income guarantee. Because income guarantee means you're going to allow farmers who, in some aspect of their crops that they have grown, to fail, and you guarantee them that you will pay them. What is the problem there? Some counties, because the way this bill is structured is that counties are going to figure out how to put up the financial and the fiscal side of resourcing this entire income to farmers. The problem with this is this. Number one, counties themselves don't have enough physical space to do that. We know the amount of money we are sending to counties. Right now, the national government has just given us a BPS that is only giving counties an additional 5 billion shillings. If you look at the function that the counties have, you are telling counties to go and look for other development partners, to go and look for MasterCard Foundation, to go and look for Family Foundation in the US, Ford Foundation, to be able to build this kitty in this committee to have some money to be able to guarantee this income to farmers. Not all counties have got that capacity. Some connected governors might do it or might not do it. Some governors might actually just resolve on changing the structure of their income from what they have from the national government to focus on guaranteeing this basic income to farmers where returns have failed. The problem with this is that you're going to have a skewed process that cannot be able to have standardized ways of doing things. So what if we could be able to improve this to a market guarantee where county government and national government can actually be able to guarantee markets to the produce? And then on the other side of inputs, we then allow our counties to have a standardized way of building funds that can be able then to finance inputs where farmers must now go to get this funding from people like One Acre Fund or any other Shylock that are in the marketplace. I think this is the biggest thing, Mr. Speaker, that I wanted to say that could improve this bill. On the one side, improve the fund to the extent that counties can actually run funds that can give people inputs. What that will help counties do is that you can guarantee that where One Acre Fund is playing, or where Polo Agriculture is playing, or any other market players are there, that interest, instead of it being burgeoned that farmers cannot be able to pay, it will be moderate. But more importantly, they will be able to plow back that money to the county by paying for those amounts of money. But most importantly, if you can be able to guarantee farmers market at any given time, start with the market side. Because if you guarantee farmers to have market for all their produce, Mr. Speaker, can guarantee you that whatever they grow, they'll get money from. But the biggest problem here is that we are saying where there is market failure, where there is no guaranteed market, and the produce is there, whether it was rotten in the stores because of adversity of weather like now, or where there's just no consumption, then the government will take care of it and then just pay it out. Mr. Speaker, I caution from an expert direction that for some crops that we have in this country that are signature crops, you will start seeing higher consumer prices rising for those goods. Like the sugarcane industry, you will certainly see them rising if you pass this bill the way it is. So while I support it, there are some market cushions that we must put to it, figure out the physical side of the bill comprehensively, because it has not been figured out how we are going to finance this. Because I've seen somewhere like Muranga, they have actually tried to implement the funding for input And they're doing well. They appear before us in the CPIC committee. And they're doing very well in terms of how their fund is run, in terms of the input funds. We have seen the mangoes in Kitui and Makueni, Mr. Speaker. Even where 200 million has been put to circulate, it has worked very well. However, we must be able to figure out market and market and market. To finish, Mr. Speaker, with a good example. You remember when this government came in place, when there was a massive campaign for subsidizing maize. The truth is, there was an increment of maize production from less than 45 million metric tons to now almost approaching 80 million metric tons. But what is the problem now? The farmers in Kitale have got maize in their stores. The farmers in Kuria have got maize in their stores, but they don't have market for it. Meaning, while subsidy was good to enable these farmers to increase their produce, there was no figuring out of the market side of things. So I want to encourage that even as we pass this bill, let the sponsor be able to accept some amendments that are focusing on the market side to ensure that where county government cannot be able to pay for this kind of return guarantees, they can at least guarantee the market for those particular farmers for their different produce. And this applies to tobacco, this applies to sugarcane, it applies to tea, it applies to coffee. Tea and coffee still negotiate for their own prices by themselves. The market is not guaranteed. And even when the market is guaranteed, there's just marginal increase on the retail price share that tea farmers like Senator Mogeni is achieving. And that's why you hear that tea bonuses are still not coming through for tea farmers in the country. Coffee bonuses are still not coming through because the market side has not been sorted out in the global economy and also in the local economy. This will be my one reservation, so that we don't have higher consumer prices on goods that need to be stabilized. But other than that, Mr. Speaker, I think it's a brilliant bill that can be able to stabilize farmers. Let's look at those cautionary areas as we support the bill, and I hope that I'll be able to do some amendments to make sure that there's market guarantee. With that, Mr. Speaker, I support and I thank you.
Thank you very well. Next is Senator Mogeni Eric Okongo, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was waiting for Senator Okech to tell us whether he's a fish farmer or a sugarcane farmer, so that we benefit from his experience as a farmer. And Mr. Speaker, I heard that his chairman is the chair of roads and the vice chair CPIC. I'm appealing to him to have sympathy to his neighbors from Gusii and donate one of the slots to his brother, Senator Onyonka. You know, you can't have all these positions while your brother has nothing. So I appeal to Senator Okech to consider giving his brother from Gusii, Senator Onyonka, the lesser position of vice chair.
Does he have those powers to do that?
I'm sure if he sends signals that he's willing to donate that seat.
Mr. Speaker, you know, there are things that can be said in a very slight way, but they can easily throw us passions. The fact is, number one, it will be important for my neighbors in Kisii to understand that, number one, Senator Onyonka is not in those two committees. The Road and Transport is not a member, and he's also not a member of CPIC. So even if I was willing to give him one of those slots, he wouldn't qualify because members vote there. But most importantly, they also must understand that my employer, when I'm in this house, is actually the senator of Nyamira. He is the senator who employs us because he's a commissioner in the PAC. And therefore, he has got a lot of power, the real power. Leave alone this mind that is small. But it's important that they know that I was among the people who really fought hard that my brother, Senator Mogeni, get that position where he is. So, my neighbors, I'm good with you. I've already given you a serious commission who can employ myself and other people in this parliament in the person of Senator Mogeni.
Okay, Senator Mogeni.
Yes, thank you. I'm ever grateful, of course, to Senator Okech. He put in some support to ensure that I get this position of commissioner, including my neighbor. my good friend Senator Cheruiyot. Mr. Speaker, if there is a bill that is so important to the farmers of Kenya, it is this particular bill. When we were having BBI, if you remember, Mr. Speaker, sir, because you are in the other house, we had put in a paragraph in that BBI amendment bill, which said that the government will pass a legislation that will guarantee farmers some minimum returns. So this is a debate that has been with us for many, many years. And we need to do something, Mr. Speaker, to show that we care about our farmers and that we indeed want to put money to the pockets of our farmers. But I hope we will have an opportunity to sit down with the sponsor of this bill, my good friend Senator Veronica Maina, so that we make it a bill that indeed and truly guarantees our farmers some minimum returns. Because, Mr. Speaker, you will not put a smile to the to the faces of our farmers unless you are telling them that this will be the price you will get for 1 kilo of Mira. I hope, Mr. Speaker, we can also refer to Mira farmers as those who need to get government support. And, Mr. Speaker, I've had an opportunity to just go through the bill and have a number of concerns. The first concern, Mr. Speaker, is that we'll be getting it wrong if we pass this obligation to our county governments. My understanding of our Kenyan constitution is that the first schedule, paragraph 29, leaves policy on agricultural issues with the national government. And the person who should take the burden of cushioning our farmers, Mr. Speaker, is the national government, not counties, Mr. Speaker. Because if farmers, for example, tea farmers in Bomet are getting low bonus returns, like we got in the last financial year, Nyamira and Kericho, Mr. Speaker, we cannot throw that burden back to the county government of Bomet, Kericho, and Nyamira, and Kisii. It cannot work, Mr. Speaker. The person who should cushion farmers, and you can, there are many best international practices where we can borrow from, Mr. Speaker. You go to the United States of America, and I was privileged in the last parliament to have traveled as a guest of the United States of America, a committee that was chaired by Senator Mbito, Senator of Trans Nzoia then. And, Mr. Speaker, we learned that in the US, so serious is this issue of guaranteed minimum return that they will tell farmers that we have set a minimum corn price, for example, at $3.75. And each farmer is assured that at the end of that season, when you sell your corn, you will be guaranteed 3.75. If the market drops and you get a return of $3, the government chips in, Mr. Speaker, and pays for you, not states, but the federal government. They have not thrown that burden to the 50 states in the United States of America. That's why I would like us to sit down, or I'll sponsor an amendment, Mr. Speaker, so that this burden is taken by the national government, because it's the only one that has the financial muscle, Mr. Speaker, to take this burden from farmers and cushion farmers. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we learned that in the US, there is what they call federal crop insurance that is supposed to cushion farmers against adverse weather. And that's a risk even our farmers here face. You can see what's happening in northern Kenya counties, how drought has devastated farmers there. We know what happens when we have hailstones in Gusii region, Kericho region, and the likes. And what is interesting, and I want us to borrow from this practice in the states, is that the federal crop insurance is paid by the national government to the tune of 60%. in the United States of America. So what we are proposing here, Mr. Speaker, I have to differ with the sponsor of this bill, where we are proposing that county assemblies in all the 47 counties will sponsor bills, as is proposed, to give guaranteed minimum returns for farmers. I'm sorry, this really may not work. The best way to cushion our farmers is to have a law that applies nationally, not a law that applies just to some counties. And then even the committee that is being proposed in part 2, 5, where it is proposed that we have the CC in charge of agriculture, the CC in charge of finance. Now, let me ask Senator Cheruiyot, you are my neighbor there. How can you form a committee that does not bring on board the tea directors, for example? Because they are the ones who will set the prices. They are the ones who know what factories have earned, how much they are able to give farmers. So if we need to set up a committee, then I'll propose that we need a way of bringing in the bodies that are in charge of marketing and selling the farm produce, like KTDA. They choose maybe directors to sit in the body that will be setting the minimum prices. That's why I will emphasize in my submissions before this House that this thing cannot be done with this framework of saying that we use counties. It will best serve our farmers if we make this something that is done by the national government, so that all bodies that are involved in marketing, setting prices, can come in. For example, and this is something that many countries have done, in farmers, those who are in maize farming, I think the price is set by the National Cereals Produce Board, the whole country. So when a farmer delivers a sack of maize, they know this is the price. And I'm sure that when the government is buying, it's because it has set aside money to support maize farmers. Why can't the same be done for our tea farmers, Mr. Speaker? You know what we earned in West Kenya. Farmers were earning as little as 12 shillings a kilo for tea bonuses. Surely, how can somebody earn a living with 12 shillings per kilo? We should be very candid in this law and say the minimum price for green tea for any farmer in Kenya should not be less than 66 shillings, Mr. Speaker. And if, for whatever reason, whether there is challenges in terms of market out there, if the price falls below 66% to maybe 50%, the government should chip in 66 shillings, Mr. Speaker. Look at what we have done to our judges. We have given them a fantastic retirement benefits through the law that was passed by the National Assembly. That's very good, and I support it. And we need our judges to be given a good retirement package because they do good work. But what are we doing as a country to cushion our farmers? Mr. Speaker, I attended the PG today, and I had a resolution was proposed and accepted that our governors, our MCAs, should also get a good retirement package. How I wish that these packages should also be extended to Kenyans, all Kenyans, including our farmers. If you go to Australia, where they have the superannuation fund that takes care of people in retirement, you will find a judge there, a farmer will be in there, a trader will be in there. So everybody, when you retire, you go home with something from the superannuation fund that gives decent living in retirement to all citizens of Australia. Another example, Mr. Speaker, where we can borrow from is what happens in South Korea, Mr. Speaker. In South Korea, again, the government has a very strong support system for the agricultural sector, where again it sets price guarantee for farmers. But again, it is just about price guarantee for farmers, Mr. Speaker. There are also other factors that contribute to poor returns for our farmers, including opening imports that adversely affect the agricultural sector. And in South Korea, they have been very, very strict in terms of putting tariffs that discourage imports. In rice, Mr. Speaker, the tariffs can be as high as 500% tax, so that the farmer is sure that somebody farming rice out there will not import that rice and adversely affect the market for that farmer. That's why I'm making a very strong case, Mr. Speaker, sir, that this bill the intention is good, but the way it's been drafted, it will not be of benefit to the farmer. I've given you two jurisdictions, what happens in South Korea and what happens in United States of America. And in both of those jurisdictions, the support comes from the national government. In the US, it is done under the Ministry of Agriculture. In South Korea, it's again done by the Ministry of Agriculture. In terms of ways of cushioning farmers, Mr. Speaker, I agree that coming up with a subsidy plan is good. But unless we run this subsidy program in a manner that each farmer is benefiting, we will not get it right. I've seen subsidy fertilizer for our maize farmers, but I have not seen a subsidy fertilizer support for our tea farmers, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, we are still not being beneficial to the tea farmers. I'm speaking passionately for tea farmers, Mr. Speaker, because I'm also a tea farmer. And where I come from in Nyamira, we are small-scale tea farmers. We own between 0.5 hectares to 2 hectares. Not unlike you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and Senator Cheriot in Kericho, where you own several hundreds of acres. As we are small-scale farmers, the ones that really need support from the government of the day. Because the average income, Mr. Speaker, annually from these farmers will not exceed either 180,000 to 200,000. That's what they will use for school fees. That's what they will use for insurance, to pay SHA, and the likes. Going again to some of the proposals in this bill, I don't know how it can work, the way it's being proposed in Section 7, that the committee should be setting prices every 6 months. No, that leaves the price very unpredictable. The best way is to say, we set the price and leave it for several years. Like the next 5 years, the price should be known. For example, as I said, if we say tea is 66 shillings, that should be there for a while. I don't know whether you have been lucky to go to Ghana, where our former colleague is, I think he's the ambassador, if I'm not wrong, in Ghana. And you see the way the government of Ghana supports cocoa farmers in Ghana. The way they do it is by setting a minimum price. So I will plead with my colleagues that the intention is good. We need to support our farmers. We need to have a guaranteed income, but let it be in a manner that is simple, that is clear, that talks to the shilling that the farmer will be expecting from a particular agricultural produce or crop. But if we leave it the way it's been drafted, Mr. Speaker, in this bill, we will not be solving the problem, and we will be passing the burden to our county governments, and they don't have the resources. I've seen that the president has proposed 450 billion as an allocation to the counties. A very good gesture, but still not enough, Mr. Speaker. Even if we gave them that money, it will not be enough, Mr. Speaker, for them to be able to pay farmers in terms of cushioning them for poor prices. So I support this bill with the rider that at the right time I'll be moving amendments to have clarity, to push this obligation to the national government and not to the county government, and if possible to have a proper board that will deal with issues of minimum guaranteed price returns for our farmers. With those remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Senator Kongo Mogeni, Commissioner. Maybe for your information, in your contribution, you've made reference to where the leader of majority comes from, the county of Kericho as well as Bomet, to comprise large-scale tea farmers. You know, 98% of tea farmers in Kericho and Bomet are small-scale holders. And therefore, the 2% we are talking about are the multinationals. And so this bill would be very critical to support those small-scale tea holders, which speaks also to the initial proposal by the leader of majority in the reforms in the tea sector, the bill that was passed by this House and currently before the National Assembly for purposes of protecting the farmer, who is the small-scale holder across the divide. Senator Moses Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for this opportunity to contribute to the Agriculture Produce Minimum Guaranteed Returns Bill 2025. From the onset, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate our colleague, Senator Veronica Maina. When we were in Naivasha for the Senate retreat, she referred to this bill, and in her view, this was going to be a revolutionary bill that would ensure that farming is not a poverty exercise, that farming could be a profit-oriented exercise. Mr. Speaker, I will make very brief comments. You do recall, Mr. Speaker, we were asking ourselves whether something like maize is a poverty crop. And when you do the maths, Mr. Speaker, the amount of money a farmer spends to rent 1 acre, to plow 1 acre, to plant 1 acre, to weed 1 acre, to apply fertilizer, to provide labor, and all that. There are some statistics that put it at almost 40,000 shillings per acre, Mr. Speaker. The productivity per acre, even though the ideal should be between 40 to 50 bags, Mr. Speaker, due to poor crop husbandry, you find farmers on average are getting 20 to 30 bags per acre. If you look at the price of maize in the market at 2,500 per bag, Mr. Speaker, it tells you that largely maize production in many parts of this country is a loss-making exercise. And many of us who engage in maize production or maize farming, sometimes we do it for cultural reasons. Because when you're a man with your home or with your boma, you're expected to plant something. Our parents engage in agriculture for customary reasons, and some of them just to keep them busy, not for them to make money. And Mr. Speaker, any government in power must ensure that agriculture does not become a pastime, does not become just a cultural experience. It becomes something that can put money in the pockets of people, that can feed the people, that can enable the farmers to take their children to school, and can enable their farmers to get affordable health care, and can enable the economy to transition, not just as a subsistence economy, but as an economy where there is value add, and an economy where agriculture feeds the industrial sector. Mr. Speaker, in as much as this bill attempts to deal with things at the end, because in terms of guaranteed minimum return, the bill sets a threshold of 20% above the cost of production. Mr. Speaker, we said in Naivasha that sometimes private member bills do not align neatly with government policy. I know that there have been political promises around guaranteed minimum returns, but sometimes you have to sit back and ask yourself, what is the most realistic way of achieving this? Murang'a County, Mr. Speaker, established a farm input and incentive fund that was established as a result of their county agricultural subsidy policy. And I think this is one of the case studies that we can look at to see how we can ensure that farmers maximize returns on their investments. What Murang'a has done is not just to focus on the pricing at the end of the cycle, but to focus on the input, because that's the most expensive component for most farmers. Mr. Speaker, the fertilizer, the seed, and the other elements, the mechanization of the land, many farmers might find that to be out of reach. What if we took the Murang'a approach, Mr. Speaker, and rather than waiting to compute cost of production and guaranteeing 20% above the cost of production, we made it cheaper for farmers to access input. And Mr. Speaker, today we were discussing the 1-year anniversary of the 10-point agenda, and we also got a 3-year scorecard from the national government. And Mr. Speaker, sometimes numbers can be thrown around, and if they are not contextualized, you are not able to tell whether people's lives are changing. The price of fertilizer, which is now, I think, 2,500 from 7,000, that is not an achievement that should be taken lightly. And I believe that those of us who sometimes talk about what the government has done, we need to break down these in terms of impact on livelihoods, not just in terms of numbers. Because if you have reduced the price of a bag of fertilizer from 7,000 to 2,500 for a farmer, that is a significant relief to that farmer. You are guaranteeing that that farmer is going to get a return. If you have subsidized seed, and again, Mr. Speaker, I share the concern that a member had raised, that we are giving out, like right now, it's a rainy season, and we are seeing our friends, the governors and county governments, are giving out seed, but they are not focused on the fertilizer bit. They are not focused on the mechanization bit. They are not focused on the market access or market guarantee bit. It needs to be a holistic approach, Mr. Speaker. It's not just the seed, because the seed is just one component. So borrowing from Murang'a, I would have preferred a policy approach or a policy direction where, as the President said at the onset of his administration, that we should not subsidize consumption, we should subsidize production. That we could put in more subsidies at input level. We could ensure that farmers are able to get good quality fertilizer. Now the price has moved from 7,000 to 2,500. It needs to be provided on time. It needs to be relevant to the climatic and the region and the soils. Farmers should be able to get access to soil testing services. And Mr. Speaker, as a farmer, I believe you know that for a long time, you'd find that soil testing, sometimes you had to bring samples to Nairobi. We need to ensure that every county government, soil testing, soil analysis is something that can be done easily, readily, and at very little cost. Currently, it is quite expensive. And that is why many farmers are involved in a Russian roulette when it comes to agricultural production, because they just plant and expect and hope that something is going to grow. So we make fertilizer cheap and affordable. We make seed fit and appropriate and available at the right time. We ensure that farmers are able to establish the crops that can do well in their respective soils. Mr. Speaker, if you fly around the country today, you'll find in many areas, particularly towards the western part of the country, people are now doing avocados, people are doing macadamia, people are doing fruits and crops that were not traditional. But many farmers are still doing it out of guesswork. We must make sure that farmers are able to get mechanized solutions. A good number of counties bought tractors at the onset of devolution. But I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, most of those tractors are run down. In fact, many counties have got more tractor drivers than tractors. Because what some of the governors did is that for every tractor, they would employ 2 drivers and 2 turn boys. And when the tractor breaks down, so you've got 4 people in the payroll who are doing practically nothing. And so farmers still have to contract private tractors or use oxen plows. Mr. Speaker, oxen plows are also very expensive because in my area, it costs almost 5,000 shillings to do 1 acre using an oxen plow, which is almost the same as using a mechanical tractor. So, Mr. Speaker, instead of guaranteeing a return after the fact, Mr. Speaker, I wish we could focus on making input available, affordable, accessible, and delivered to farmers on time. Mr. Speaker, many of us have wondered why a country like Kenya, we still have to have these problems of fertilizer import, fertilizer scandal. I think if there was a scandal of this government, perhaps it was a fertilizer scandal, where I remember the CS brought fertilizer to this chamber and members were sniffing it to confirm whether it was good fertilizer or not. A country like ours, after 60 years of independence, Mr. Speaker, you do recall there was a time that I think Toyota was supposed to set up a blending farm in Uasin Gishu. And you wonder, can't we just get these things done? And I'm quite impressed, Mr. Speaker, with the approach the President has taken. This morning he has convinced us how we have been able to put up Talanta Stadium from a fund that has been idle. How we have been able to put up Bomas from a fund that has been idle. Within the agricultural space, there are so many funds. You go to sugar, there's a fund. You go to even fish, there's a fund. Every crop has a fund. Can't we utilize these funds and make sure that this country is self-sufficient when it comes to the input that is critically needed? The fertilizer, the seed, the mechanized input. Mr. Speaker, these things are not rocket science. This country can assemble tractors. This country can blend fertilizer. We just need to bring in the ingredients from Morocco and the rest of the countries. And so, Mr. Speaker, for me, for us to guarantee a good return for our farmers, we must invest more on subsidies, we must invest more on inputs, and county governments perhaps could borrow the Moranga template for them to ensure that their farmers are getting the best. Mr. Speaker, finally, there are bigger economic theories and questions around supply and demand. If you're going to fix the price of a commodity, sometimes you might distort the market equilibrium. And so, if we are going to guarantee a price, if you are going to guarantee a return, we need to look at what we have done with fuel pricing, what we have done with sugarcane pricing, and ask ourselves whether this is the right direction. Ultimately, if we focus on input, we must also focus on productivity. Why would a maize farmer in one part of the country yield 20 bags per acre, and maize farmers in other countries, Malawi, Zambia, and several other countries where I import maize from, are probably getting 40 to 50 bags per acre? If we want agriculture to be productive and our farmers to be rich, let us invest in quality seed. Let us encourage greater output per acre, because if we can do some magic where the farmer who was getting 20 bags per acre, all of a sudden, because of good seed, because of good fertilizer, is getting 50 bags per acre, definitely that farmer will be smiling all the way to the bank. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I sit in the Agriculture Committee, and I believe that this is a bill that will be processed by that committee, and we shall take into consideration the views of the public, and more importantly, the views of the ministry, because this can only be implementable if it is aligned to the sessional paper on agriculture or the government's overarching policy. But I still want to insist that if I was running one of the county governments, because this bill places certain responsibilities on county governments, I would make sure that my farmers can access input on time, at good price, with good quality, that I will ensure that they are extension workers. I would ensure that there are farmer training colleges. Most of our farmer training colleges have been converted to universities, teaching procurement and supply chain management. And there is nobody to teach our people how to farm. Mr. Speaker, there are very few things we are born with the instinct of doing. For example, when a child is born, the child instinctively cries, instinctively suckles, but milking a cow is not a natural instinct. You must be taught. Planting maize is not a natural instinct. Someone must teach you. So we must invest in farmer training colleges across our counties. And one of these days, perhaps we need to compel all county governments, instead of spending millions and billions of shillings in bursaries for secondary university education, why don't we go back to the basics? Ensure, first of all, we have ECDs, we have vocational training centers, and we have farmers training colleges. Mr. Speaker, those are some of the areas we need to emphasize on to ensure that agriculture is not just a cultural pastime, that agriculture is something that pays. I have visited some of my friends here who are farmers, particularly the senator for Narok, and he has demonstrated that farming pays. Of course, it is expensive, and of course, the biggest concern that farmers have is the cost of input. That is the area that we need to look at. Look at our tax regime, our fiscal policies when it comes to agricultural input. Think about subsidies. Subsidies, all countries subsidize. Most of the countries, even the ones that tell us about Adam Smith and the invisible hand of the market and supply and demand forces, they still subsidize their farmers. So we need to have a proper policy coordinated at the national level but implemented at the county level to ensure that our farmers get this input and our farmers also have guaranteed market. It's not just about a guaranteed return. I will plant avocados if I know someone is going to buy it. I will rear chicken if I know someone is going to buy it. I will plant tomatoes if I know someone is going to buy it. So let's also guarantee a market for products. Kenyans are hardworking. If a Kenyan knows that if you rear quails today, someone is going to buy the eggs, Kenyans will do it. And so, whereas I support this bill, I would be very happy to ensure that it is aligned to the overarching agricultural policy or the overarching vision of this government. And I see so many areas, so many funds established within the agriculture space that we can utilize creatively in the same manner that we have utilized the sports fund and in the same manner that we have utilized the catering levy trust fund, the same manner that we have utilized the road maintenance levy fund to ensure that we are doing something great, something transformational. And in my view, Mr. Speaker, that something great for a start could be to ensure that Kenya is self-sufficient when it comes to agricultural input. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Thank you, Senator Moses Kajwang. Now, honorable members, in the absence of the mover of this bill, Senator Veronica Maina, I will defer her reply to the next sitting and ask that we call the next order.
Order number 10, the Public Audit Amendment Bill, Senate, the National Assembly Bills number 4 of 2024, second reading.
Senate Majority Leader.
Speak to this. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, be now read a second time. Mr. Speaker, this is a very interesting bill, and I'd wish to later on sit and listen to the contribution of our chair for Public Accounts Committee, because I think more than all of us he interacts with the audit reports and the works of the Auditor General more than every other person in the House. This comes at an interesting time. Senator Kajwang, I don't know if you're concerned like I am about how nowadays media chooses to report about audit process. You know, if you don't sit in Senator Kajwang's committee and you read the first letters from the audit report that goes to any public entity, and you can quickly hang anybody if you are malicious and mischievous about it. For us politicians, it will be good politics, because if Senator Kajwang, for example, intends to run for governor of Homa Bay, all he needs to do is to pick the first letter that the Auditor General sends to Governor Wanga and the team at the end of the financial year and flashes it all over social media in Homa Bay and says, look at the money this governor has lost. Yet, subsequently, as the firm that is being audited continues to provide the relevant documentation and information, a lot of the stuff falls off the way. there's an increasing trend, Mr. Speaker. We must address this because it's an important discussion, and we, particularly those of us that are in Parliament, use reports from the Auditor General as a true north in determination of how public affairs are to be treated in the Houses of Parliament. We depend on the reports of the Auditor General, for example, to lead our interactions between us and the various county governments on whether governor and the team that they lead have been prudent in their use of public resources. If we allow the cheapening of the audit space, the way I see it being done by our media these days, Mr. Speaker, then we shall completely lose the space and the respect of the audit procedures of this country. Reports of the Auditor General are extremely accurate, Mr. Speaker, and when you listen to the presentations that many of the times are made before this House on the findings of the Auditor General, they are mostly without fault. Though many times the firms and the county governments and the entities of public interest that are audited later come back with rebuttals, Mr. Speaker, on what that interpretation is, either to agree, disagree, or try to explain what led to that particular finding, Mr. Speaker. The audit process is a process that needs to be respected. It has become, and I must say this, as a citizen in this country, as a leader, and more importantly, as a consumer of audit reports, Mr. Speaker, and somebody who gets concerned when anybody tries to cheapen the audit process, that the continued use of audit process to score cheap political points by our media is something that should concern us. You wake up to rosy information, like, for example, today, in one of the dailies, you know, I saw a headline, 50 billion shillings has been lost. Of course, anybody who understands, first of all, how much SHA collects per month, and in a year, what is the total amount that you can collect, you do appreciate that it might not be possible even for that institution to operate anymore if such amounts of money will be lost. And I have subsequently seen the clarification and what that particular report is alleging, Mr. Speaker. I think last week there was another one as well. I can't recall which entity that was, Mr. Speaker. But it was still in the same line of breath where you can see that either there is a lazy or malicious journalist who picks an audit letter for additional information to a public entity and flashes it at headlines. Oh, this amount of money has been lost in this particular public entity. That is not what the purpose of public audit procedures is, Mr. Speaker. As Parliament, we respect and treat with a lot of value reports of the Auditor General because they are the reports that guide us in making decisions and determinations as to how public funds have been spent by the various entities that interact with public funds, Mr. Speaker. And at any given time, when we see people choose to misinterpret that particular process or abuse it, you must get concerned, Mr. Speaker, because otherwise it will get to a point where, Mr. Speaker, people will not be concerned anymore and they'll just believe that this is just another political scheme. And I thought that it has gotten to a point where even the Auditor General, they need to be concerned and perhaps give a simplified version of, for easy digestion by maybe those who choose to misinterpret it. Though, honestly, I don't think it is for want of understanding of audit procedures that you see some of the headlines like what you saw today. It's purely driven by politics, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this bill, the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 4 of 2024, Mr. Speaker, just by way of background, it was first published in the Kenya Gazette Supplement number 28 of 2024 on 2nd February 2024. And then it was subsequently passed a year later in March 2025 and then referred to us for consideration. What are the principal objects of this particular bill? It is to amend the Public Audit Act, Cap 412B, to clarify the administrative powers of the Auditor General and provide for powers of the Auditor General with regard to initiating and undertaking forensic audits. The bill further seeks to provide for the establishment of a public audit fund to clarify the steps involved in the process of auditing a public entity. Actually, just what I was explaining a few minutes ago, I believe if the Auditor General was actually to provide this clarity, then the kind of headlines like what we saw today and others, Mr. Speaker, will cease to be a thing of the past, though I must still insist that reading those headlines, I don't think it is for want of understanding of audit procedure, but out of public interest, Mr. Speaker, so that the public appreciates what exactly is a public audit process. That is
your point of order, Senator Kinyua.
Sorry,
Just this a point of order, Leader of Majority.
Bwana Spika, nilitaka tu kwa sababu nimsikiza kiongozi wa wengi kulingana vile anavyoeleza anamaanisha ya kwamba hela za umma huwa hazifujwi katika gatuzi zetu. Kulingana vile namsikiza yeye anamaanisha kwamba hela za umma huwa hazivujwi katika gatuzi zetu. Na ninasema gatuzi zetu kwa sababu kiongozi wa hiyo kamati huwa hapa anauliza maswali magumu. Hata hivi juzi niliwasikia wakisema wakikisia kwamba huwa wanajaribu kuhongwa ama kuulizwa hongo na hawa viongozi wetu. Kwa hivyo ningetaka kiongozi wa wengi, kwa sababu vile anavyoeleza Wakenya wanakisia kwamba haya mambo yanayoandikwa katika magazeti yote si ukweli. Bwana Spika, ningetaka tu anielezee kwa sababu vile anavyoeleza anakanganya Wakenya.
Leader of Majority, I know Kiswahili might probably bring a problem to understand his concerns, but your line of argument in terms of the headline screaming as to the loss of resources vis-a-vis the Auditor General's report on the audits, probably for his clarity, it is not that you are saying there are no aspects of such loss of funds in public offices on the basis of the Auditor General's report. You might need to clarify that for the comfort of Senator Kinyua, as well as those who are listening to you as you move that particular bill.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know, I've struggled to understand and follow Senator Kinyua in his line of questioning, but just to clarify to him, because as a colleague I want to believe that he's asking this out of good public interest and understanding to my trail of argument. Senator Kinyua, this is a public audit bill, and I'm trying to explain the justification and the intent of this particular bill. But while making the earlier submissions, I did move that there are many institutions today which are being reported in the media as having lost public funds simply on account of the first letter that the Auditor General writes to institutions and say, provide clarification for the following. It is my argument, and that of anybody that understands an audit process, is that until the Auditor General completes that cycle where they have requested for information, clarification has been granted to them, they have requested subsequently for any further clarification, and they have finally concluded on the audit process, that until you get to that particular point, you cannot come to the public with information and say that because questions have been raised on account of this document that is unsupported or the other, that an institution has lost public funds. It is what I'm calling the cheapening of the public audit process. That is what I was trying to explain in simple terms, Senator Kinyua. And I gave the example of the screaming headline from The Nation this morning as one such process where the audit process, Mr. Speaker, before it runs its logical conclusion, is used either for cheap political games, Mr. Speaker, or just to sell newspapers, as you would imagine. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, back to my line of explanation on what this bill further seeks to provide, is first to establish this public audit fund, Mr. Speaker, the steps involved in the auditing process, like what I have explained, Mr. Speaker, and actions to be taken by accounting officers on recommendations made by the Auditor General after a debate and consideration of audit reports by Parliament or a county assembly. Senator Moses Kajwang, this is a very important place for your committee, and I'd be expecting that perhaps your committee should lead the House actually in making the determination on how we should structure that particular wording in this bill, on what accounting officers do after the Parliament or county assemblies has considered an audit report and we have passed the report as you have guided us as a committee. What steps should accounting officers take? Because many times, unless we have made such an adverse finding on a particular accounting officer, like to say they should be barred from holding public office, and the House has agreed with you. Sometimes the administrative things that accounting officers are asked to do, and we don't have the mechanism or sanctions, Senator Kajwang, against officers if they fail to follow through with the recommendations of committees such as the one that you chair. That's part and parcel of what is being proposed as a principal object in this bill. It also seeks to amend the Public Audit Act to align the functions of the Auditor General to provisions of our Constitution. This bill further proposes to clarify on membership of the Audit Advisory Board. There are various audit advisory boards, both at the national and county government level, and the establishment of the Public Audit Fund, which will ensure that the functions of the Office of the Auditor General is adequately financed and hence able to perform its functions effectively. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill further proposes to assign the Auditor General additional powers, especially with regards to staff of the office. These include powers to recruit and appoint a Deputy Auditor General, develop an organizational structure for the office, and establish and abolish offices. Senator Kajwang, you know for a fact that, for example, in the Office of the Controller of Budget, I don't know, but the last time I checked, there were certain powers which have been left exclusively to the Controller of Budget alone, as such that, for one reason or the other, even for humanly possible reasons such as being under the weather, for example, work has to stall until that particular officer comes. I don't want to believe that the same should be the case with the office as serious as the Office of the Auditor General, Mr. Speaker. And that's why we are proposing establishment of additional offices such as a Deputy Auditor General. It proposes amendments that are likely to improve efficiency and effectiveness of the Office of the Auditor General to discharge its functions. Consequently, this will promote greater accountability for expenditure of public resources. Particularly, I mentioned this, Senator Kajwang, in light of the High Court decision on the limited time that Parliament has to consider the reports from the Auditor General, that 6 months after which we actually funked as official on that particular matter. And I think that deadline normally is 31st of March, Mr. Speaker, which is a very short time, given that it takes us at the end of the financial year. The Auditor General has about 3 months, I believe, to produce their reports, and they are sent to Parliament. A total of 9 months, the audit process should be complete. And therefore, we must capacitate these offices to ensure that they have the requisite number of personnel, Mr. Speaker, to conclude this particular work in the time that is necessary, so that the reports are sent to Parliament. And as parliamentarians also, Senator Kajwang and your committee and all the colleagues that serve in oversight committees must lead us also as a House to reflect and perhaps find more creative ways which we can dispense of this work more expeditiously than we presently do. That is part of the proposal. The primary purpose of this bill, amends the various sections, Mr. Speaker, is to provide, in addition, the qualifications set out in the Constitution and the Act, that a person eligible for appointment as Auditor General, if he or she is a practicing member of good standing of a professional body of accountants that is recognized by the Accountants Act in Kenya. 2, to provide administrative functions for the AG, including development of organization structure, the staff, the various offices. I think I've explained those ones. Is to establish the Public Service Human Resource Audit Directorate in the Office of the Auditor General, which shall be responsible for conducting and preparing audits on human resource in the public service. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important office. When you look at the amount of funds, Mr. Speaker, that we spend paying public workers, Mr. Speaker, in an economy that is so constricted such as ours, Mr. Speaker, it is important that we have such an office so as to conclude and bring to a close this particular business that, for a weird reason, it is not possible, even up to date, if you ask anybody within government to tell you how many public workers actually earn out of the public coffers. You may never find that. And I know about maybe 10 or 11 years ago, the World Bank did fund a program which up to date has never been concluded, on trying to carry out an holistic audit process of public servants with their qualifications and the amounts that they earn, Mr. Speaker. An integrated system where all of us, from state officers, civil servants, all of us that earn from the public kitty, Mr. Speaker, if you could find a way of a unified payment system, Mr. Speaker, I believe would save a lot of money. But as it is today, so long as we operate in silos, and very small ones at that, Mr. Speaker, I wish there were even institutional, such as the judiciary, legislative, and the executive, Mr. Speaker, but it is in silos as such that even institutions, such as state agencies, want to run their own HR manual outside of what the Treasury is aware of. And, Mr. Speaker, it becomes difficult to keep a trail of what is the total number of personnel that are paid from the public coffers, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, that's Public Service Human Resource Audit Directorate is an extremely important one. It provides also for instances where the office of the AG shall fall vacant upon the expiry of the term of the office, and presently the Act only provides for a vacancy in the office of the General where the holder of office dies, resigns by a notice in writing to the President, or is removed under Article 251 or Chapter 6 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, it's just clerical work, Mr. Speaker. It deletes also provisions that are relating to secondment of officers from a state organ or public entity, Mr. Speaker. It provides that the AG shall not have power to confirm, vary or revoke any decision taken by a member of staff in the consequences of a delegation or by instruction by the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, there are so many other requirements, and I would wish to go through each of them, but I'll not be doing service to my colleague, the Senator for Tana River, who I know is also equally prepared to second this particular bill, Mr. Speaker, and grant the opportunity to the rest of the members to speak to it. Therefore, with those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I yield and grant the floor to Senator Danson Buya Mungatana, of course, through the chair, to second.
Thank you, Leader of Majority. I call upon Senator Mungatana to second the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills, Bills number 4 of 2024. Mr. Speaker, may I first of all congratulate the Majority Leader for very ably moving this bill and giving the insights. Mr. Speaker, this bill, as has been stated, it wants to amend the Public Audit Act, Cap 412B, so that, Mr. Speaker, the Auditor General's administrative powers are clarified, so that the Auditor General's powers to initiate and undertake forensic audits is clearly given to that office. Also, Mr. Speaker, it establishes the Public Audit Fund in Kenya, amongst many other things it wishes to achieve. Mr. Speaker, I want to start from the last bit. Mr. Speaker, we do not have a public audit fund right now. And this makes the work of the Auditor General, Madam Nancy Gathugu, very difficult, because many of us, Mr. Speaker, we go to that office and demand that we want a forensic audit done on a certain public entity. We want a proper audit to be done on certain issues on a certain public entity. And for us in this Senate, most of us want to get special audits carried out against the counties we represent here, because many times we have reasons to believe that there is mismanagement of funds. And Mr. Speaker, where does the Auditor General get the funding to do special audits, for example? Where does the Auditor General get the funding to do forensic audit, Mr. Speaker? You will find that many times we make requests, but capacity issues make it difficult for the Auditor General to acquiesce to the requests we make because there is no funding modalities for her. You will find that the monies that has been allocated to her was probably enough only for purposes of carrying out the normal audit within that particular year. And Mr. Speaker, we have reasons, some of us who are keen on the performance of our counties, to require forensic auditing. Mr. Speaker, we have reason to require special audits carried out against some of our counties. I'm talking about Tana River County. Mr. Speaker, we have a governor who has used the illegal blanket cover that has been granted by the unregistered Council of Governor entity, saying that county governors should not appear before the Senate Public Accounts Committee. And Mr. Speaker, I have said and will continue to say, the crooked governors are the ones who are afraid to appear before the Senate Public Accounts Committee. Those who know that they have done a lot of mischief within the counties are the ones who are afraid to appear before the Senate Public Accounts Committee. Mr. Speaker, on the 19th February 2026, our governor, Godana Dado, from Tana River County, failed to appear before the Senate Public Accounts Committee. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at the financial statements ending the year 2025, June 2025, you will see that the Auditor General, on the part of the executive, she has returned an adverse opinion against the executive. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at the facts, when you look at the details, you will see the reason why that governor is avoiding appearing before the Senate Public Accounts Committee. Cannot explain anything. I have seen him in past appearances where you are a governor, you are being asked a simple question, and Mr. Speaker, these questions, they have them before they appear. The fellow cannot answer. The fellow goes to the CEC in charge of finance. The fellow goes to the chief officer in charge of finance. Simple things, Mr. Speaker. Those are the kind of people who are sitting and elected as governors. Mr. Speaker, when you have an adverse opinion returned upon you, and you now are planning to travel to Canada, Mr. Speaker, that is the kind of nonsense that we are seeing with our governor, Godana Dado. They have gone to solicit a trip, Mr. Speaker, to go to Canada. Apparently the governor, who served as a member of parliament, who was a major in the army, who served as a first-term governor, who is in the second term as a governor, wants to go and learn about governance from a rural county administration called Woodlands in Alberta in Canada. That's the kind of nonsense that we are having from these governors. And then they don't want to appear before the Senate Public Accounts Committee. Mr. Speaker, this act today, when we pass it, helps the Auditor General to have the capacity to set up the Public Audit Fund that will enable us, whenever we request for these special audits, that she is able to mobilize her staff and go and deal with a rogue governor like Governor Godana Zato. Mr. Speaker, this bill is critical because it enhances the powers of the Auditor General. Not only to work, but also to look after the staff establishment. I'm surprised, Mr. Speaker, that so many years, over 50 years after independence, we have not given full power to the Auditor General to be able to fill her staff establishment, therefore frustrating her in her own work. Mr. Speaker, this bill is so critical to Kenyans. Many of them do not even understand the processes of audit, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are living in a time when missing funds, adverse opinions, they don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. Mr. Speaker, this bill empowers the Auditor General to be able to take action against people like rogue governors such as ours. Mr. Speaker, what the bill says, and I'm particularly interested in Section 4 of the Principal Act, which is amended by repealing Section 31 and bringing in a fresh section. And it sets out a very nice audit process where the Auditor General will inform the accounting officer, in this case the governance team, that we are coming to audit your place, or we are coming to carry out investigations in your place. Then they will hold another meeting to set out the scope and deliberate the scope of how this audit is going to take place, Mr. Speaker. After that, the audit shall take place and a report will be prepared. And then that report will be brought to the county assembly or the parliament, as in this case back to the Senate. Within 14 days of the receipt of any audit report or any questions, they must submit, the accounting officer must submit a response to the Auditor General, including remedial actions undertaken to address the audit findings. So, Mr. Speaker, this law that we are bringing now is going to demand of accounting officers like governors to not only file responses to these committees, but also, Mr. Speaker, to bring in remedial action that is taken. Mr. Speaker. And it goes on to say, the new Section 31, that if within 14 days they have not dealt with the issues to the satisfaction of the Auditor General, then the CEO or the accounting officer for that public entity will be liable, Mr. Speaker, to disciplinary actions. Mr. Speaker, this is the power that we are giving to the Auditor General in this new law that we are giving to them today. Mr. Speaker, the reason why I'm so passionate about this section is that if you look at the accounts of Tana River County, the year ending June 2025, you have a situation, Mr. Speaker, that the governor in the period 2024-2025, they went to the controller of budget presented requests for allocations and approvals on expenditure. They get this approval, Mr. Speaker, and then an expenditure of 1,5,844,071 shillings is given to them. Then, Mr. Speaker, the same people, they go and void 1,229 transactions, Mr. Speaker. So they use companies. They list these companies. These ones are owed. This is the payment. This is the transaction we want to do. They give this information to the controller of budget. Controller of budget gives the approval. And then immediately after that, Mr. Speaker, they void 1,229 transactions. What kind of an administration? Worth over 1 billion shillings. What kind of an administration is this, Mr. Speaker? What kind of a people are we dealing with? And Mr. Speaker, then what happens? Companies that had done contracts, they have given supplies, they have performed their duty, their names are used to get the money out, and then other different companies which are compliant to those in administration are paid. So you find other people, Mr. Speaker, closing businesses. People who are simple people, they are not big business people. They were just given a contract of maybe 5 million, 10 million, 3 million. They have borrowed the money. Mr. Speaker, these people are being auctioned. Shops are being closed. And you have a governor, Mr. Speaker, who is just walking there. You know, you'll be surprised, Mr. Speaker. This is the kind of person who puts on his vehicle to keep running, Mr. Speaker, so that the AC is continuing to cool the car as he gives a speech, so that after the speech he doesn't enter a hot car. Mr. Speaker, the kind of wanton destructions of property and of money that is being witnessed in a county like Tana River is horrible. And Mr. Speaker, we need to say this, as I second this bill. We didn't go far enough to give the kind of powers the Auditor General needs. We need to put these people in jail. They can see clearly that this is what they're doing, messing up with the finances. Mr. Speaker, I have gone to see the ESCC CEO to discuss some of these files, and we need to also call out some offices. How can it be that files are being taken to the office of the deputy of the director of public prosecution? There are 7 files there for 7 governors, and you are refusing to release them for prosecution. Why? You need to tell the country. Because we are reaching a point where we are tired. The Honorable Raila used to say, Punda imechoka. And it is true. Kenyans are getting fed up with this kind of nonsense. And we want public officers, whichever positions you are holding in this prosecution process, please release these files. I'm tired of seeing governors here, a person who has no company, does not own a farm, even a chicken farm, but they are millionaires. They are billionaires. Mr. Speaker, we really need something to be done, and this is a step in the right direction. And my prayer, Mr. Speaker, is that we shall empower more power to the Auditor General. We've been talking of power, and this is power that is needed, power that is required to be used in the right direction to deal with corruption in the counties, Mr. Speaker. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I want to yield so that my colleagues can also say something. I wish to second this bill. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I now propose the question that the Public Audit Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 4 of 2024, be now read a second time. Honorable members, it is now available for members to contribute, and I will call upon Senator Olekina Ledama to go first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm a trained auditor, and for the very first time, I will beg to differ with the majority leader. I see this bill as a threat to the independence of the Auditor General. I see this bill as passing the powers of the Auditor General to the Advisory Board. I see these amendments as being one that are designed to be able to cherry pick on what can be audited and what cannot be audited. And I stand corrected. I've read through this bill, and I'm of the opinion that we need to rethink. We need to rethink this bill because the current Public Audit Act has given the Auditor General independence. I've been a member of the Public Accounts Committee, as well as the County Investments Committee, and I know the role of the auditor. In fact, Senator Kajwang will tell you that I drafted the fiduciary risk report, mostly informed by understanding of the Public Audit Act. Section 31 that my brother Ungatana was alluding to. Mr. Speaker, I'm concerned about the reduction of time in this bill. This bill reduces the time that the Auditor General requires bodies like state corporations, county governments, national government to be able to submit their financial statements. It reduces them from 3 months to 2 months. It hurries the time when the Auditor General is required to submit his or her report to Parliament for it to be considered. I am concerned about the direction that we're taking with amending this bill. Mr. Speaker, independence of the Auditor General should not be anything that should be questioned. I am happy to some extent that these amendments seek to introduce the Public Audit Fund to be able to fund the Auditor General. The only progressive thing there is that it will now be clear how much money has been put there for the Auditor General to be able to do their work. But one of the things that, the dangers that it has, is the fact that now the Auditor General, instead of what is required by the Constitution, which is about 0.2% of the budget, it will now be the decision of the Budget Committee of the National Assembly. That worries me. And I want to be very categorical and say that I am concerned about the direction we are taking in terms of bringing these amendments of the Public Audit Act. When I read the Public Audit Act, the only thing that I think that ought to be amended has got to be provisions that differs with the Public Finance Management Act, recent amendments. Those are the things that need to be changed. Mr. Speaker, tightening timelines in terms of accounts for the auditor is something which we should be very worried. The framers of the Constitution, the drafters of the Public Audit Act, saw it fit to put 3 months. And sometimes even during those 3 months, the Auditor General has not concluded their work because either there are delays in financial statements being prepared by state corporations or county governments. But now limiting it again for 2 months worries me. And I will not be shy to say that that worries me quite a lot. I see that I have a very short time, but I would definitely use up my time next time. I see this bill, Mr. Speaker, as moving the powers of the Auditor General from the Auditor General to the Advisory Board. That is dangerous. That is very, very dangerous. Those are the things that we must address. The independence of the Auditor General must be left for perpetuity. It cannot be a time when we in the political class can determine what can be audited and what cannot be audited. The only thing, and I know time is running, that I can say,
Senator Olekina, you will have an additional 14 minutes when the House resumes to conclude on your contribution to the bill. Now, Honorable Senators, it's now 6:30 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 11th of March, 2026 at 9:30 a.m.